Welcome back to the Game Changers World Championships, where we're about to show you the most highly anticipated Game Changers match of all time. And I cannot believe we're getting this on day one. It is Cloud9 White versus G2 Gozen. And joining me to break things down are Athena and the guy that's been gassing up EU in this very studio for years, Ender.
That's true.
I can't wait to see you gas up EU more.
Look, the thing is, I'm gassing everyone up because this matchup is just actually too good. We've been waiting so long for it. I want it to start now. Like, I just want to press that start game button and get us in.
I mean, I feel there's too much on the line. There's the NA versus EU, there's the pride of everything. But the good thing is we've seen both teams play already today. We know a little bit of what we're going to be getting. And Ender, to the people at home that might not be as excited about C9 White as the rest of us, why should we be excited about this matchup?
Well, first of all, hold on. What have you guys been watching? Like, everyone should be excited for Cloud9 White. But no, this is a team that has just dominated NA from start to finish. They've never lost a Game Changers event in North America, and they've never even really looked challenged. Like, Shopify have gotten like somewhat close, but since G2 has been, you know, dominating things in EMEA, they have been crushing it over in North America. So it really is two worlds colliding here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that I'm not the only NA on the desk anymore.
Oh, no. I'm outnumbered.
Yeah, C9. Now I can say it. I can say it now. No, I think C9 obviously have been showing that they are dominating, and G2 as well. I mean, for me, they is a pleasant surprise to watch them play just now. Like, I think they really brought a lot to the board.
Yeah, I think the fact that we just saw them play, it's something that we can keep in our memories, recent memories of what we should be expecting. And now we've seen the LAN debut of C9 White. What for you, Ender, do you feel like is the one thing that is going to allow them to dominate another team that is as good as G2?
I think this team, it just has the strongest fundamentals of Valorant in Game Changers, just bar none, and I don't think it's close. Like, in terms of just like setting up, like always just very strong defaulting, and more than anything, like their post-plant holds, like it's so hard to find a crack in the armor of C9, whether it's their defensive spreads or it's them. I just wanted to look at a couple of rounds on Ascent, because every single time you have a player in a position that's easily tradable. This is a bonus round. You've got two ghosts right outside doors, and then Mel with the late reflank through mid. That's fantastic. Then you have this other clip right here where they're able to play really sort of like off-angle positions, right? Alexis is here, ready to swing out, two players working towards heaven. Alexis just absolutely dominating. And it didn't matter if it was A site or B site on Ascent. It didn't matter if it was going to be moving over onto Haven. They were just always making the right decisions in the post plants, and it meant that there were very few rounds Crew was able to actually win from that deficit.
Yeah, I think C9 for sure is one of those teams that they're so unified, but also individualistic at the exact same time. Like, each one of these players can perform, but at the same time, they also play perfectly together. They have that synergy, and they have proof of they have what it takes, and this is why they have been dominating the NAC.
100%. I also just think like they are great problem solvers on the fly too, right? Like the calling for Mel is so good that even when you lose a couple of players, like that clip right there, it's a 2 versus 2. They don't really know where everyone is on the map, and instead of just planting the spike on A, they push into CT spawn, right? Try to scout that out and make the right choices. They are very good at that on-the-fly decision making, and it really does put them a cut above.
Did you expect them to win as dominantly as they did on that first game? Because I know that Crew were your kind of like secret pocket picks.
That's the thing, is like, I had really high expectations of Crew, but it goes to show, like, my expectations of C9 are just actually in the clouds, right? Like, they're my favorites to win the tournament, and I think that it just is that combination of just really strong, sturdy play and the aim. It really is the full package there.
Well, if there's anyone that I feel like that's going to bring them down to earth, it does seem like it's going to be G2 Gozen, because Athena, it feels like their LAN debut was extremely strong as well. Maybe not as flashy as the way the C9 did, but they come in here with some changes and it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw them play. We just saw those changes go kind of crazy. We saw Mary popping off, Mimi popping off, Giuliano, Glance, all of them literally in their own retrospective roles made it work, even if it was a new change. And I think for them, especially coming into this, the edge that they might potentially have over C9 is that LAN experience. Like, they know how to play. They have the element of surprise with their new roster picks. They might be running completely new playstyles too. We don't know. And I think that that is something that C9 perhaps might not be able to expect, might not be able to play around, and those small decision makings might not be as smooth as they want it to be.
That's the thing, right? Like G2 have been hyping up the experience. And I think sort of looking at the comps too, like my concern when they pivoted away from Mimi on Killjoy, because she was like the main like mid solo player, lurk player on Icebox, was like, do they lose that element? No, they didn't. Like, Glance immediately just jumped in and sort of carried that role. So this was not just a full, like, strategic compositional switch-up. No, this was just an extra layer that they can tap into. And having those layers, having that diversity in the playbook that you can bring in is what you need against a team like Cloud9. Because you will not beat this team by running one trick. You can't be a one-trick pony versus C9. You have to be on your game round around.
Yeah, I think even with G2, one thing that I know personally about LAN experience is when you're playing and you've just played and you're still warm, especially with the way that these girls were just playing, I think they can definitely like put out a really, really good fight against C9, who potentially isn't as warm as G2.
I mean, what I will say is, though, two players that, at least coming into this tournament, I was personally really excited about were Bob and Giuliano. And it does feel like, at least after the first match we saw of them, and it was different storylines for both of these two. I was expecting Giuliano to maybe outperform Bob, but so far it's been the other way around.
Yeah, it's a Bob world out here, and we just live in it. Oh my, what a treat to watch of a player, because I really do feel like she can accomplish so much. And like, obviously, cracked out aimer, great game sense, all this stuff too, but the Bob lurks got activated on Ascent, and Bob is a player that when, you know, your duelist, your opening fragger Small on Cloud9, she will take the gamble, she will take the risk and just blow up and around. Even if it's a 4v5, 3v5 for C9, she'll just flip it around on you, and out of nowhere, you just lost.
Yeah, I mean, and she's on that initiator role. Like, that's not the role that's supposed to be doing that. She's becoming a playmaker, a lurker, an entry fragger, a clutcher. Like, Bob has been doing so much for this roster that she's actually one of the most insane pickups, I think, that has happened in the Game Changer scene, period. Because she is literally proving herself over and over again and dropping the numbers on initiator, which is insane to me.
She is the best pickup. I will double down with you on that one. That is so good. She also busts out the op. You know, because why not on the Sova? Like, she just really is the complete package of a player, someone where the sky really is the limit in terms of her future.
I honestly think Giuliano underperforming is a good thing, because G2 were able to win that dominantly when Giuliano is not on form. When she's going to drop like 350 ACS on Raze, they're going to be 13-0ing everyone. I'm just going to throw that out right now. But what I will say is I'm about to eat my own words, because if you look at the map losses between C9Y and G2 Goes, and the reason we're doing losses is because they're two of the most dominant teams in the world. It hasn't looked great for G2. Actually, I heard one of the C9 players say, oh, G2, they lost the same number of maps as we did in a week than we did in an entire year.
Damn.
Which is true,
ridiculous.
By the way. I checked. It was true.
Yeah, also, this is map losses, not series losses. Like, Cloud9 have lost 4 maps all year. G2 have lost 7. Like, that is just ridiculous on its own. But yes, G2 did have that late fall up against Guild. Of course, us, you know, stinging them coming into this, that they're only the 2nd seed. But hey, you know, it let us get this match on day 1. You wouldn't get that if they were the first seed.
I'm okay with it.
So really, they really are just playing to the crowd. You gotta appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what Giuliana just said too. She said, like, it's our turf, you know? Like, I think she has that confidence. I think now she's potentially warmed up to kind of drop bombs on these kids, like, you know, like go on to C9 and kind of like show what she really wants to do as that duelist and as that IGL mega mine going in first. So I'm really excited. I think warming up is just a huge, huge aspect of it. And I think Giuliano might just be on top of something.
You're one of us. You'll come to EMEA. What are you doing in NA? You're a free agent now. You can come to EU.
I will say, like, on that point about, like, being warm, like, Giuliano, yesterday, I was talking with her, and we were talking about the schedule. She's like, yeah, I would much prefer to be the one playing the second match, and then back-to-back, you're already on the stage. So, yeah, you know, she had the 2 warm-up games. She's coming in full force here.
I mean, speaking of Giuliano being confident, I know that it's not going to be a surprise that C9Y players are confident, and I saw a tweet from Alexis I want to show you guys at home right after they beat Crew. Surely this gets harder than this. Right?
Oh.
Sure, does it?
I love the confidence.
Look, G2 is super hyped up. I would say, yeah, let's hope G2 make it a little bit harder for them. But honestly, if Jazzy was just cranking the hip-hop backstage, getting amped up for this one, I don't know if you can beat that.
I mean, this is the question, right? Does this settle it? Do you guys feel like whoever comes out on top today can confidently say that they can settle the we are the best team in the world, or you know, it's a bit
Counteroffer, Guild still exists.
Yeah.
They're playing
Finally.
tomorrow. Another insane matchup on our hands there as well. But I think they're going to have a run for money. And there's a lot of Liquid fans out there, too, that I think would be like, no, you can't say that after day one.
It's Fennel for me. It's all about Fennel.
They're so cute. It's all about Fennel for me as well. They're so cute. But yeah, I mean, seeing C9 play and seeing G2 play, like, it's so similar but so different at the same time. Like, they can both, I think, outplay each other in way different aspects. Like, I think lurks and all that stuff, like, both these teams have them down. And I think the fundamentals are just there for both teams. So I do think that it might be, hey, we're the best team in the world now.
Oh, I mean, it's still two teams also with the best map pool of this entire tournament. And I cannot wait to see what we're going to get as I hand this over to the map. Select. Where would you like to see them go? Where would you not like to see them go?
Ooh, that's an interesting question here, because I think like G2, I've always been a huge fan of their icebox. So personally, I'd like to see if they can get that going for them, especially with the changes we've seen from that.
As soon as you said that.
C9 don't want to deal with that.
Open! They left Pearl open! Do it!
Oh my god.
I mean, C9 have not been like huge icebox enjoyers. They also do like to ban the Breeze, so I think Breeze is like one of those more chaotic maps that they just try to remove from the pool. So those two are like the bans that don't super surprise me, but C9 just put a fantastic performance on Ascent here, and I think that is a great map for them. I'd really be surprised if G2 could take that in their favor.
Yeah, I think they're going defense first. I think they can definitely try to get as many rounds as they possibly can, because we have seen C9 be absolutely deadly on that Ascent attack side. But they did end up picking Breeze, which I think is really good, because again, they are warmed up on it, they just played on it, they just kind of slapped on it. I think they did lose a few rounds, and being able to kind of adapt those mistakes and incorporate that into your next game coming up might be a good play here.
It's funny because like G2 want to be warmed, but at the same time, I think C9 love to be watching that series, because they just saw how G2 played that Breeze map. Tons of early mid aggression on the defensive side, so they're going to have very strong ideas of how to counter that out. But finishing out on Pearl is really interesting, because G2's Pearl was very good up against Guild in the finals, but we're also not expecting to see that same exact Pearl from them, because they've been changing all their other maps.
Giuliano is going to play right now.
That would not surprise me.
Very high chance.
I would love to see that.
I'm surprised that Pearl was left open. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I honestly, me too. Like, I feel like the playstyle wise, G2 definitely has the kind of edge, because they have the firepower of like holding and going forward and kind of doing more individual plays, which I feel like Pearl is really infamous for. Whereas like C9, they do love to do things unified, but you know, as I'm saying that, like in the back of my head, Bob just keeps coming back and coming back. And so I think like this is going to be a real like initiator diff map. I think no matter what happens, the duelists will probably both go crazy, go stupid. But like the initiator diff is really going to come out here. It's super important to get info on that map. It's super important to play that map. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm going to need a map 3 for this, but we're going to take a quick break here. And when I tell you not to move, guys, don't move. You do not want to miss C9 White versus G2 Goes, and we'll see you in a minute.
I'm not going anywhere.
Welcome back, everyone. Like I said before the break, I hope you didn't move, because Ender lost. He did move. Luckily, you guys have already seen these two teams play today, and history is about to be made. C9 White are taking on G2 Gozen right now. This is the most highly anticipated Game Changers match of all time. The two teams who have always claimed that they are the best in the world. We are about to settle it here. It's NA versus EMEA, and I am very, very excited to see who's going to come out on top and get the bragging rights, I assume, probably for the rest of their careers.
Yeah, this one's going to last for a long time, unless there's a rematch in the finals. Of course, that's always an option, you know? We get into VO5 territory, but these two teams... Oh gosh, I am so excited. We got a little bit of swagger coming out with Mel, you know, brushing it off the shoulder here. These teams are confident they're ready to play.
Yeah, I mean, with these two teams, it's almost feeling like this is going to be the start of an El Clasico kind of, like these two pillars of esports, these two pillars of teams just kind of like dominating everything. Again, I'm so excited to see how this game plays out. You can hear the chants, you can hear everyone going crazy. I'm just as excited as them.
I will say, you could tell how much people respect C9 White, even in Europe, because when they were doing their walkouts, people were still cheering for them, you know, hyping them up. As we saw from Champions, a lot of the NA teams, they don't get much love over here in Europe, but even us Europeans can really see that C9 White has the potential to be the best in the world.
Look, you can't not love Cloud9. Yes, Killjoy! I see you, Cloud9, let's go! I love that. Coming into the studio, repping out C9 and G2. Maybe a battle of chance a little bit later on as we get into it. But this is going to be our first look here on Ascent for G2. So questions are abound. We've seen Mary on the chamber a couple of times, but I'm not necessarily convinced that that's going to be the look for Mary coming in. The Killjoy has been really strong for them previously.
Yeah, I mean, we saw C9 absolutely dominate their attack side on Ascent and kind of putting up the numbers that we aren't necessarily used to on a map that's that balanced. So again, like, it's going to be really hard for G2 here. Again, if they do put the chamber on, I think kind of missing that Killjoy Mimi is kind of heartbreaking a little bit, but I do think that obviously they made changes. They might make it work. Maybe we see a Sage come out. Who knows? I think either way, they just saw C9 play Ascent, and so maybe they might have that extra little feedback going in from their coach, from their previous watching of VODs, or just seeing them play live today, that it might work out in their favor also. Yeah,
the thing I'm wondering is, like, are we going to see Giuliano back on a Jet? Because she went away from the Jet on two, previous like strong Jet maps for her, and instead went for the Raze, the Reyna on that. And I think Jet is still very much a staple on this map of Ascent, but it's fairly likely, like, if we see Mimi moving away from the Killjoy, if a chamber does come into play, it opens up ideas like the Fade Raze to come in if that's the angle Giuliano wants to go.
Or into the Prime Gaming agent select here. Again, you both touched on it. G2 coming in with changes. Cloud9, they also sometimes like to bring some changes, but after the dominant performance we saw earlier, I don't think we're going to expect anything too crazy from them. Mary on the left here is going to be locking in her agent first, and they're going to go for the chamber.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that to me signals that it very likely is the Raze Fade, but no, it's going to be a Sage. So this is probably a no duelist composition, right?
What is going on? Wait, can we just confirm with producer this is not a misclick?
It's a Brimstone. Because, okay, to be clear, in the past, C9 played Brimstone on this map. We're like, yeah, we were trolling, like, we're not playing our best controller on this one. But no, G2 are coming in with the Brimmy and the Stimmy on this map. That is absolutely insane.
I mean, Athena, you called the Sage, but explain the Brimstone.
I can't. They're on their own with this one. I mean, I tried. I really did. No, I think this comp is, it's very interesting. It's definitely a defense-heavy comp. I think they really have to try on that attack side to kind of find the rounds, but it might be the answer to C9's attack side on Ascent.
Yeah, it's interesting because like the tough thing about playing a Brimstone here is like the range on your smokes tethers you. Usually on this map you see an Astra and Omen, so Brimstone sort of has to float around mid, which maybe isn't optimal if you want your chamber to be playing around the middle area of the map. So I don't know. This is a curveball, and I don't know if I love this look for G2.
I need two people to help me react to this. Van Silly and Potter, what do you think?
I'm speechless. I'm just speechless right now, you know?
I'm excited. I'm
super excited.
We've got almost the grand finals coming through on the first day. I mean, in a lot of people's eyes, especially Twitch chat out there, you're looking at both these teams, and we're getting a treat for ourselves on the first day here at Game Changers.
So many conversations around who's the best team in Game Changers, and we have two pillars as teams, being Cloud9 and G2, and this is finally the time to see which one of these pillars is going to start to crumble down.
Yeah, I'm looking straight. We already kind of got a glimpse, Vans. We got treated, and you know, Ender was mentioning it on the desk. Cloud9, they got to see G2 in the back room. They got to study the notes, see if exactly those VOD reviews leading up to this event, if the notes were accurate. And on the same token, G2, they've got to be flying high. They've got to be riding that momentum coming into this first map.
Exactly, and we're kicking things off right away. C9 versus G2, a wall early as G2 is on the defense here on this B site, but it's a self-boost here for Juliano to get a little bit of information at the start, and that's where C9 is headed towards. Here's the first shots, but it forces a rotation of Petra to meet up with her.
Yeah, strength of Sage to pull down that Sage wall early now. C9, they've got to deal with that. A lot of pistol bullets to even slow them down, and as soon as that Brimstone smoke comes down, Cloud9 White, they're going to rethink their entire beginning of this round. You saw Mel there kind of shanking away at that knife, or at that wall rather.
Yeah.
She was able to break a piece of that, but Glance's position here, all of this cat control, this crossfire is going to be tough for Cloud9.
G2 has all of this information. We even threw a KO knife at the beginning of the A site, and here's the first point of contact, and first blood is going to be G2. And they take the advantage into this round with two more only remaining now for C9 White. It's up to Mel and Bob, who start things off to turn it around for C9. One player disadvantage as Mel is looking for at least an entry somewhere inside this B site, but it's not going to be there. It's going to be Petra welcoming her into G2's home, and that is a second kill with G2 getting the pistol round.
Beautiful, beautiful, precise aiming there for Petra. Nice crosshair placement as well, and that crossfire that we talked about at Cat was so deadly. At first, I was worried there, a little bit of a whiff shot, maybe some land jitters coming through, but either way, the crossfire, believing in that definitely pays off for G2. And there was a chance, right? We saw Mel towards that B main a little bit. Since there was so much interaction going down towards that mid, she tried to find that timing, tried to take over that B site, but Petra just so good for it.
Definitely was a great start for G2 as they had all of their players really focused up on mid and that B side. In this round, it's going to be more focused towards the A side. KO knife coming out for the attack for C9 White. Did spot a little bit of opponents here as there's a double stack from Glance and Mimi. Counter knife out, detecting the presence of only one player so far. And C9, once again, one of those early rounds where we're just going to pull back once they get discovered.
Yeah, quite a bit invested coming into this round. Bob even going for that half armor. At least they are going to get away with grabbing an orb. And Cloud9, these sheriffs can be quite deadly for these players on Cloud9 White, and they're just slowing it down. This is where Cloud9 shines, is when they're able to slow down the pace and really communicate across the board with each other. So these anti-ecos, fans, they are always terrifying for me.
We're already seeing the Glance at the beginning here. The walls that come out early into this B side
like
seems to be a way to just counter Mel exactly into these late lurks where they gotta have to refocus, maybe break the wall, create a presence.
Yeah, exactly. And you saw Mel here just kind of tucking behind, and she didn't want to break that recon dart, give away that free information, and a quick hit is going to come through. Just pistols on the side of Cloud9, but they get the entry.
And that's only one player at the staircase. Lines up for the first kill. That's Juliano trying to answer for the second one. Meanwhile, we do have to rotate back. The wall comes out, just block the CT spawn. But Katsumi now goes in for the plant. 10 seconds left on the clock, but C9 still at a one-player advantage.
Not a lot of util here left. Bomb is ticking away, and Mimi, she's got one flash left. She's gonna let both of her players take over that stairs position and probably pop a flash, but her teammate goes down early. No trade in sight.
Well, at least the trades are there for C9. Only one to go, and that's Mimi that you talked about before. But that's Alexis waiting. That's a thrifty round that comes in for C9, and that is 1-1 on the scoreboard.
Wow, and you know, we talked about the fact that Cloud9, they shine when they slow things down, and we gotta go back to that recon in B main. Mel, the fact that she didn't give away any sound cue, no information given away for free, just simply by tucking and pouncing and everyone exploding together and making sure they get that trade results in a thrifty round win. Beautiful, simple execute coming out here for Cloud9 White.
Now this puts G2, of course, on an eco. Going into, look at that reaction. We felt the tension going into the walk-ins. The crowd was cheering for G2 and C9, but at the same time, it seems as though you see the clash of G2 and C9, the players themselves. And I'm loving what I'm seeing so far.
Alexis was cracking her knuckles. She is ready.
We were saying we could almost hear it at the caster desk right here.
Exactly. I mean, it's been 2 years, fans. 2 years for this LAN, and finally, international LAN, and these players are definitely looking sharp right now. Just an anti-eco on the side for G2. Not a lot of money on their side. And interesting positions, though, here. You see Mary really utilizing that chamber kit in that forward position in those mid stairs. This is a lot of noise cues. You can see the rotations coming through for G2. They want to make it to this A site ASAP.
Trying to delay as much as we can for G2 as we put that brimstone smoke, towards the A main. But after we forfeit the site, that's an open one for C9 to play a 5-player pulse plant. And you see the entry style that Jazzikin was talking about. Slow orb, wall towards the heaven side. Going to make it very difficult for G2 to rotate back. And they're just winning their duels. It's easy kills. They have the stronger weapons. And they're looking for the flawless in this round.
Clean, clean. Look, it's easy kills, Vans, but it feels good when you're able to walk away with a round as clean as this. As I said, these anti-ecos absolutely terrify me. So if you're Mel on the side of Cloud9 White, you're just kind of nodding your head and saying, good job, guys. This one wasn't close this time. Finally, we're going to see a healthy purchase coming through here for G2 in the first real gun round.
That was a prime gaming flawless that we saw as well. So we're looking at the replays. You see the positioning, playing around the dice as well is very good for C9 to play these pulse plants. And we've seen that in that previous series earlier on today when they play against Crew, and that's what I'm talking about. You said Mel was going to be calm? Mel's not calm. She's hyping up the team.
Getting really into it, and you love to see it, right? And we have to harp on it because, again, this is the first LAN. We always talk about those LAN jitters. A lot of these players, it's their first time on an international stage such as this. To see them so invested and not really shying away from these duels is fantastic to see. Cloud9 White very much congregated towards this A main, and Mimi, this flash is going to be everything. The timing, Glance gets contact.
Glance still looking to play that bait. Looking for the Jiggle Pete to fall back and potentially go for the double swing. Oh yeah, that's a huge nade.
Oh,
We're looking for it. You can see Mimi's looking up and down.
Missed.
But you missed. She's actually staying back there. Bob looking for the tap on to the orb. It's going to get picked up, and that's a Hunter's Fury that's ready.
I think that nade might have bounced off the kneecap or something. That was a funky bounce there, but luckily for Mimi, she's able to keep breathing there, and Glance still in the same area, and Cloud9 White, they're just cutting noise, but look at this reaggress.
Still Glance for the first, but Katsumi answers back with 2. That opens up the A site. The smoke comes in towards the door, and there's that lurk from Mel. The battle ensues soon towards that B site, but the plant will come in towards A, and there you go. Mel does win that fight on that lurk, but Mary wants to fight back. It's back to a 2v2 situation, but the health advantage does come in for G2. Already inside the site, Mary gets the third into the round, and it's up to Mel on the lurk to look for the clutch. Wall and the door has to be broken. Looking for the pick, we'll get it, and onto the fuse, we're sticking it, but Mel gets the clutch. The Red Bull clutch on a 2 versus 1.
Mel was all the way at B site. She had to really book it, put on those fast running shoes, and make it to her teammate in Katsumi, who was all alone in that site. But again, the comms, the communications coming through for Cloud9 White, it almost came to bite them, almost punished them, but almost no stone left unturned here for the side of C9.
And I remember when I was watching Twitter what was going on here during the match of G2 when they're playing against X10. I remember Zaz was tweeting out, hey, X10's playing a little bit too slow right now. They're giving a lot of room for G2. And you could see for G2 in this match, they want to be relentless. They want to continue to push forward. They don't care if they're at a player disadvantage. Mare will swing out and she will fight. They always have great chances to bring it back.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to see, that sort of fearlessness. and not backing down, and we're seeing it here from Mimi, inching her way forward on an anti-eco. That's a lot of sound cues. Jazzy didn't spot this, and she's going to be telling her teammates right now, they're all going B.
That was 2 sets of footsteps that she called out. Trying to pick up the rifle on the ground. She might get sprayed here, down to 29 HP. Will survive for a bit and retreats back into the A side, so that will be a Vandal picked up.
Yeah, look at this mini-map. All that information that Mimi was able to gather has made the rotations true. But Cloud9 White, they understand this.
Yeah.
They've slowed things down, and they understand they've got the better weaponry. They just need to use each other, use the information, and that's a clean, clean equalizer for Mel.
Yeah, Petra thought that Mel didn't see her.
Oh, she stuck it.
The TP back at least from Mary, and Glance is holding towards the switch, but when we thought we had good positions, the favor is going back into C9. Nice flash to come out, but that's just going to slow down the attack. Spike has yet to get planted as Jazz again is looking for the wall to get down, and there you go. She's made it safely inside the site. The plant will come in. Now it's time for G2 to see if they can win this Thrifty.
3v3. Util a little bit lacking. And this positioning from Alexis, if she gets hard cleared, Katsumi's got to react quickly here.
That's the important part. C9 are always good for these crossfires that you talked about, Christine.
Beautiful.
And that is clean.
Beautiful. Beautiful stuff, and it's textbook, right? It got a little bit dicey, especially towards that A when Mimi got all that ground, all that information. But again, if you're just able to hold your breath, take a second to recollect yourself, give each other the information, you can really see the inner workings of Cloud9 in those moments. They slow it down, they let each other know what the next step is, and that exec, it's just as clean as it can get.
And this is a great stat line that you see right now. 20-0 for C9 White throughout the whole Game Changer series of 2022. G2 at 9-1. But we're definitely seeing as to why C9 are comfortable, despite these agent changes that are coming out from G2. A new comp that comes into this round.
Yeah, right off the bat, Huntress Fury coming through for Bob, and she's creating so much pressure. Glance was able to punish Katsumi, though. You saw Katsumi really taking that space over, trying to take advantage of all that pressure the Huntress Fury was providing. Mary, forward position, but Mel is just so deadly. She's able to push her off that angle, and not having this B main control for G2 should apply pressure. You see on the minimap, most of the members, most of the defenders are towards this A site. Cloud9 White, they've got a lot of map control. That's beautiful.
Didn't think that was going to happen, and that beautiful ult that comes out from the KO will nullify as well. Prevent the orbital strike from coming down, but Mimi still wants to stand her ground, wants to play around the dices. Now as a KO spawning as a camera, Mary does go for the support. Katsumi will now have to try to clutch a 2 versus 1. Spike is down, out in the open, by the door. Recon dart then comes out for the defense. Knife also spots her, but she still has a lot of time to work with.
And you can see Mimi's playing this very disciplined. Doesn't want to give away a freebie. Understands that they have all the advantages. And Petra's just waiting, biding her time to react off of this contact. This smoke is huge. Katsumi misses the shot. So blind.
Beautiful
Good
play.
recovery.
Beautiful play.
Yeah, nice recovery coming through here for G2. And I mean, again, things got dicey because Cloud9 White, we talked about the amount of map control that they had. They were able to push Mary off that B main, then inch forward towards Cat. And again, that's almost the entirety of the map, right? You don't have M1 control, you don't have M2. So Cloud9 had everything they needed in their bag to make that happen. But for some reason, things didn't work out. G2, that crossfire, holding true.
I like these coaching terms that you're calling out. M1, M2. Teach this noob.
Well, M1, mouse, mid one. It's near the bottom towards the arches. It's just a quick way to say that. You're able to, you know, get your controller not as confused. So definitely easier on that front. Mel, so aggressive, using her cages to, again, get this aiming control. When you're denying this much line of sight, this much vision, it kind of forces you as a defender to go sniffing, and that's exactly what Mary's doing. She's got an inkling, and she's able to punish.
Beautiful shots coming in and a push out on Catwalk 2. Glance capitalize on a kill onto Jazzikins. There's still an opportunity here for C9 White to turn things around because we broke that trap towards mid side, and we also have control of the door. Just now being closed. It was
beautiful.
Katsumi with a nice headshot and is looking to answer back. The owl drone comes out, so we know that Petra is there spamming.
My God.
After she gets the tag, but a counter tag comes out. Bob answers back. It's a 2v2 once again.
The spike is going to go down 2v2 as you say, but Glance, she's going to pull out the Brimstone ult a little late to the trigger, so she decides to hold on to it once more. A lot of utility coming out here for Cloud9 to hold them at bay.
Flash also available here for Alexis. Orbital Strike forcing. Now Bob out of her position at Dice. One more trade, but it's Mary that runs down the stairs and wins that duel. You can hear the G2 chants coming back.
And you love to see it. Mary giving a little cheer and celebrating that one. And that's a huge round for G2 to convert. It looked dicey there for a moment. That Brimstone ult really allowing them to feel confident that nothing is going to be popping those shots from back to side. They're able to really scale and speed up that retake. Able to trade it out. Beautiful stuff for G2 here.
At this point when you're watching this, these walls that's coming out onto defense so far from Giuliano is just really filtering C9 to where the stacks are. And Mary's dancing, having fun, and she's pushing the extremities, getting those fights, getting those opportunities too with that tour de force.
Tour de force. Speaking of ultimates, Giuliano has the res up, and off of that one round win, these two ultimates coming through for the Huntress Fury on Petra and that res on Giuliano should allow them to potentially start racking some more rounds on the board, because so far it's been Cloud9's game, but that's going to change things. Mary, beautiful opening for the side of G2.
C9, now identifying that there's a lot of pressure on Catwalk, and they want to take contact on that first, but it's not working out. Finally, Alexis answers back, but there's still a lot of player disadvantage with the spike being down. Drone, though, actually does not spot it.
Yeah, she didn't spot Bob, and that wall should be going down here within 10 seconds.
But for the rest, this probably is going to be a position for Bob to not become a lurk, so that the other two working towards that catwalk, trying to see if they could answer back into something. Holding the grounds, but it's still Mary. Headshot onto Alexis, spike down once again. The res comes up, and that lurk is just not going to work at all anymore. 35 seconds left on the clock. I feel it's going to be one of those moments where you got to save.
Yeah. Gotta count the lucky stars or lack thereof. And, you know, we saw it from our screens, the opportunities that Cloud9 White had in this round coming through. But G2, so disciplined. They hold their ground. And again, it's that cat crossfire that we saw on pistol round coming through, so huge for G2.
So how do you answer back this for C9 White? Seeing that pressure on mid that's really prominent for G2 so far.
It's that Hunter's Fury on Petra's back pocket here. I think the next round coming through for C9 White, you got to say, they've been stacked on Cat every time. Let's just beeline it. Let's go down mid and use this Hunter's Fury and see if we can get some quick trades. But Cloud9 White, they've been known to slow things down. That is their identity. That is their strength. So I don't know if they're going to do that. They might just lean back into their strengths, because as we saw earlier, when they were very much controlling the pace of this game, it was with that aiming control, right? Denying those kinds of lines of sights and making G2 go sniffing. But Mary, she's been on one, right? All of these duels that she's been taking towards this cat, she was able to come out on top of it. So even though C9 are forcing G2 to go sniffing, that's kind of what G2 want.
Yeah, and now we're forcing the first timeout out of Cloud9 White to try to discuss how they can work this mid that we were just talking about. But let's take an opportunity to talk about Mary as well. I remember that feature earlier on today where we had the interview, we had the conversation with Mary, and Mary was like, I'm not too sure if I want to play to the best of my abilities on my first land, but damn, I think she's popping off.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, you love to see it when you can see that your team is really setting you up for success. And the squad of G2, we're talking about that, the fact that they were not going to just make this a mini Zaz anymore.
Exactly,
right? They want Mary to really blossom and flourish in her role. And we're seeing that. I mean, there was a little bit of a slower start, I think, in map 1 in the first series, but coming through here in map 2, it's really been all about Mary on this chamber. Again, it's the kind of duels that she's taking, right? We talked about the fact that on that round in mid, she went inching all the way forward, even past that Sub Rosa stair area. So very aggressive, very proactive, and that's exactly what you want to see out of your chamber if you're G2.
Yeah, Giuliano also explaining they optimize the compositions to get the best out of Marion, and that's even Giuliano stepping away from doing more duelist roles and still doing her job, right? Getting those assists, doing what she does with that utility with the Sage Wall.
Yeah, exactly. Coming into this round, Cloud9 White, they just took that timeout. Katsumi, she's got that Omen ultimate online, and that's all they have. But I wouldn't be surprised if they use this ultimate. Cloud9, they love to use it in the middle of the round, use it as some sort of distraction, a crosshair displacement, and then make a full-on exec. So we'll see if Cloud9 are able to make that work, but look at this. They are all congregated towards this cat.
Yeah, and speaking of setups, it's the same for G2 at the entrance of A. Counter flash is coming out, but nobody's going to get hit, so here's the battle up on tree. Still locations revealed by Bob's Silver Dart, but it's still gonna be a trade-off, a 4 versus 4, but the spike is still stuck towards A main while the rest of C9 are inside A. Finally move forward. Bob wins that fight against Mimi, and Wine is down, so that allows C9 White to move into the site. A knife also came out, spotted Mary towards the door. Finally the wall to block out the door. The plant's gonna come down.
Will go down. So many pings coming through here for Petra's dart. No kills, but a lot of damage coming through here for G2.
C9 has to play inside the site because it's not really planted for them towards the A main, and
What a
Alexis
shot.
loves to play the headshot angle, and so does Giuliano with another headshot onto Mel. One more to go here. It is going to be Giuliano herself looking for the double swing. A great job for Cloud9 White off the timeout to capitalize on the round.
And that's exactly what we wanted to see. You know, I said they should rush. They didn't rush. They did exactly what Cloud9 White is known for. They went calculated, slow,
Yep.
very much on their own pace, on their own terms. And that pounce was everything. You saw how many pings both the Sovas and Bob and Petra got in this round. Everyone's location was revealed.
Yeah, that's what I love about this matchup too, because we talk about how there's good utility being used at this level of game changers, and the amount of pings that you see, the amount of slow orbs that are coming out as well, just to block out any pushes that's coming out, just the answers that they have on the fly against each other. It's going to be a very, very fun series that we're going to witness here.
Absolutely. Both teams really using almost all of their credits. Telltale sign of a close match already. And again, this cat contention here. Cloud9 were good for it the last time around. And they're fully expecting G2 to be stacked again once more. A quick wall up.
And it's going to see if it's going to cap on somebody. And it's unfortunately C9 that gets caught on it. So 2 to fall, 100 Sphere to come out. And that was a round where C9 had a lot of ultimates to work with. And now they're all getting denied. What a push pushing through by G2.
And it's the Odin to get a double kill there, top mid. And I love it. I love that each team right now, they're going back and forth and they're swinging right back at each other. The reads coming through. I mean, this time G2 said, okay, you're probably going to go up our cat and contest us once more. Let us pounce on you in mid as soon as we get contact. And Petra, she's good for it with the Odin of all things.
Now on defense, it definitely feels like G2 is controlling the pacing and controlling how they want this round to be played out. C9 has to dig deep into their pockets to try to come out with the round. And it always comes down to these 1v1s, but sometimes when they actually have these nice trades towards the A site, these pulse plans have been good for C9. So how do you stop that? It's going to be Mary with this operator at the entrance of the A site. First contact, easy kill. Bob falls, but this is also an eco for C9 White. So they're going to stick together to try to get into this site, but it's being blocked and stopped by a smoke from Brimstone. Full ult from Katsumi in the back of the site. We might be able to make it in at least for that plan.
Nice Sage slow to really buy some time, allow Cloud9 to plant, and a lot of ultimates being invested into this round. It allows them to be in the site, but 4 members alive, no guns, and Mel gets taken out, just making this even more difficult.
And no stones are left unturned. That was actually 3 players converting back into Catwalk to make sure that Mel cannot lurk. So reading them like a book. G2 are retaking the fight, unless Alexis goes with something. But that was, man, that could have been a huge highlight reel.
We're going to have to see a replay if we can. I need to see Alexis' POV there. She's been popping off for sure. Really, if you're Cloud9, again, you're happy with that, right? It was as close as it can be for an anti-eco, but G2, it's certainly been their rounds here. They've certainly been controlling the pace here for the past 4 rounds.
And with that, at least that eco that comes in the plant. We're at least able to salvage
go.
something here for C9, and let's check that round there from Alexis.
1, 2, 3. Oh, so close for the 4th as well.
We're gonna, you know how we have a spot on Ascent called Sabrosa? I think anything around that January is gonna have to be called Alexis at this point, because she's popping off at that area.
Absolutely, absolutely popping off. And coming into the last round here, both squads, healthy purchases. And Cloud9, they only have the Cypher ultimate to work with coming into this one. So they've got to go into the, oh, Bob almost gets taken out.
I love it, a surprise
What a
ult.
combo.
Exactly, but here comes a dart, a spam with the Odin, but no kills, but Mel's pushing forward. Giuliano's on the top of the wall, and they're looking for that fight. Shock darts to try to pin her down. Does a lot of chip damage, and now forces out the push. What beautiful communication by G2, but we're trying to answer back. At the same spot, it's now gonna be Alexis' turn. And we're looking for this counter boost. All 4 players getting ready to move up, and that's Alexis off the top of the ropes. Juliana falls, and here comes the Odin Aurora. It's gonna get pinged out, and 3 players are now pushing through. Alexis gets the headshot, and C9 now takes over the site.
They will get the spike down. Katsumi is in such a power position. There's not going to be a smoke that's going to be able to block her line of sight off here. So on Bob's contact, expect her to swing. And this should be a simple post. I mean, G2, they've got so much to do here.
Yeah. And not much utility to work with. This flash could be huge right now, as Katsumi just got spotted on the top of the wall. Mary now trying to inch in. All she has is that headhunter, but she makes it work. It's a 2v2. Now in the back of the site, only up to 1. Alexis then comes in with Jazzikins for the last 2 kills, and they tie up this half 6-6.
That got dicey. Cloud9 White are able to convert that one, but man, G2 are swinging right back. Katsumi, you know, we talked about how advantageous that high ground was on top of that sage wall, but Mary, she's just feeling confident as ever, just fully coming through and swinging, almost converting that kill and making that retake happen. But man, what a back and forth first half here, Vance.
Yes, it was super well done, super well played by G2 under the defense, but this is also one of those conversations at this time that C9 will actually have to play the defense. We'll see what G2 could do about this, but before that, we still need to digest that first half, so let's see what the desk has to say.
Thank you very much, guys. There is so much to digest. We waited many, many months for this matchup, and this is the game, Athena, that we deserved.
Yeah, I mean, it's been insane. We see how close it is. It's tied up. That's exactly what we wanted to see, because that's what we're saying, these 2 Titans. And so with G2, they were kind of losing it at the beginning, and they kind of adapted. And so with that adaptation at like around round 6 or 7, they actually had a really good round that kind of started as their momentum breaker. So Mel actually went towards B, and I think this is where G2 started realizing that, hey, we just can't let her get picks. We can't let her lurk. Don't give her the space. And so we see Mel here kind of failing to get that first pick, and Mary getting the information on that. And then they're in turn losing one in that A main. And so Mel comes back up towards that cat and instantly doesn't have any kind of like assistance for her team. She just dies, and that's kind of the beginning of the playstyle that they started having, where they just denied Mel those picks, denied Mel the lurks, and it just ended up working out great.
Yeah, you know, C9 seemed pretty strong early on, finding the lurks with both Mel and Bob on the Sova, like sort of taking all those opening fights, and that worked really well for them up until we saw some like late A main peaks from Mary shutting down Bob as well. It seemed like catching them on the good timings was definitely shutting down a lot of their mid-round options.
I mean, G2, they knew what to do with Mel on the attack, but Ender, going into the defense, do you feel like they're going to know what to do with Mel, considering the role that she's playing here?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, Mel's chamber, or Cypher rather, is just a different beast here on Ascent. It is so hard to get through. She has so many different setups. The one-ways come into play as well. And with G2 playing a no dive comp, right? No jet, no raise, and also only having, what, a Sova drone to break the tripwires as opposed to a raise or a fade in there. It's going to be really hard, I think, for them to actually acquire space on sites. And this comp from G2 does generally, typically, play slowly on the attacking side. So I think Mel is going to be a real problem.
I mean, this is the game we deserve, like I said. I can't wait to get back into it. Over to you, Vansily and Potter.
Thank you so much, my friends. And they were just talking about it, right, Christine? How do you counter that Mel now on the defense? But do you think they've done enough for C9 to have 6 rounds on the attack?
It's gonna be tough. I like the idea behind G2's comp here. You know, we talked about maybe it has to be slow, but I'm visualizing again that Brimmy with the stimmy, Giuliano on that stage with those slow lineups, and because of that stimmy, it may be able to compensate for the fact that they don't have any dive sort of agents. Again, though, they've got to take care of these Mel trips in this default while they're slowing things down in the beginning of these rounds here. Double Sentinels is no joke, Vans. You're going to see for the side of Cloud9, Sage on the one side, Cypher on the other, and the Sage wall coming through, really putting a span in the works here for G2.
South boost, and then also a counter boost, but that's only 1 player making through, so that's 2 left behind for G2, so that's less numbers to run into the site, and that is going to be the advantage still for G2 somehow, and finally, there you go. There was that slight mishap that leaves the last 2 players of G2 at the entrance of A main with the spike out in the open. Mary now contacted the right click then from Jazzikins. Self-heal as Giuliano is looking for that clutch. Now Dink and spotted. C9, clean pistol.
Clean stuff. C9 Bob there, you saw the recon was kind of the nail in the coffin there at the end, just making sure that the jig was up, and things got pretty dicey towards that cat. We're seeing so many double sage walls coming through round after round, using one to boost, using one to block off an entire side of the map. Both stages really finding a lot of value with that utility. But a strong start here for Cloud9.
Yeah, Katsumi also feeling it right there for C9, and this is going to be a round where, you know, we split up the pistol rounds 1-4-1. G2 winning on the defense side, this time C9 as well on the defense. But G2, you talked about them wanting to be aggressive. Already 2 players are moving up towards Pizza, but Mel's camera is going to try to spot things up, and that's picture perfect to spot 2 players moving outside of the market. A nice ping also.
So many pings.
So much information for C9 to get ready for this push for G2.
Bob, a lot of enemies on her screen. She does get taken out. This is a 3v3. There's 2 guns to be collected in the site. And C9, they're all congregated. They're looking for a pre-take here.
Nice util for both Jazzikins and Alexis, just to prevent players from moving outside from the backside. Beautiful paranoia too. Jazzikin cleans up and sweeps 2, leaving only 1 behind. That's Petra with the picked up Spectre, and that's not gonna happen. Jazzikin gets the 3rd into the round, and that is an anti-eco in favor of Cloud9 White.
Jazzikin's the hero with that adjustment in that spray control. Beautiful stuff. Again, that could have been real bad for Cloud9 White. I love the aggression coming out here for G2, fearlessness coming through, and of course it helps that you only have some pistols on your back. But take a look at this, Bob. She was under so much pressure, and I love it when you're able to swarm like this, especially when all you have is pistols, right? Make it as difficult as you can on the enemies, and that's exactly what G2 did here. But Jazzikin's fully capitalizing off the paranoia, and it's easy peasy.
You talked about it. The idea was perfect for G2 on how they wanted to push on that sidewalk and that staircase. But again, you're playing against a Sova and a Cypher that pinged so many players and just got C9 ready for that flood that was going to come in from G2. Yeah, they lost their lives, but if you're able to get a couple more before you fall down, it just makes it easier for that retake. But this round now, G2 with the rifles, and the bonus comes in for C9. Mimi looking to congregate back towards the mid with the rest of the team, and a sage wall already set up by Jazzikins on Catwalk. Already 1 broken down.
And you can see exactly how slow G2 are coming into this round, especially considering it is Cloud9's bonus. They do not want to deal with any sort of shenanigans. And the shenanigans I'm talking about is Mel's position here, very close forward with that frenzy. Wants to work off this trip, and that's some information. But she's just got a frenzy. She's going to stay tucked. And G2 are controlling the map very well. You can see they've got B main control. They've got all of this mid-2 area, especially towards this Pizza. Good control. That's a lot of damage.
5 HP for Bob. Allen drone now stopped. It was a camera set as well for Mel. And yeah, unfortunately, Mel turns around towards the market, and Mary just got a mishap, tripped over her feet, and she falls. Just one more is getting spotted. The double swing towards Kench bench. And Mimi also dies, making it a very advantageous bonus round for C9.
Yeah, but G2, they're going to be able to get the spike down. They've got market cut off, and they've got this. They've got the weaponry. This is exactly where you want to see those fundamentals coming through for G2. Sure, you're a man down, but you've got the spike down. You've got all the advantages, but not like that. Glance gets taken out. Petra's line of sight cut off with that smoke. It's all on Giuliano here.
Important utility that was left by Petra. The recon dart first. She still has the owl drone. Or the recon dart is ready now, excuse me. As they're setting up for this crossfire on the sidewalk, trying to isolate, just smell around the corner, but it's gonna be a bait and switch.
Wow.
Beautiful trades comes out, and that's a bonus round for C9 White, a team that has a high rate in terms of win round percentage on defense, and this is why. This is why.
This is exactly why. Those fundamentals coming through so strong for both squads that we've been seeing, really. I mean, from the first half coming into this one as well. But Mel, the fact that Mary, she felt comfortable. I mean, why wouldn't she, right? She was down in that M1 area for so long that she felt confident enough that, hey, if there was somebody going to be here, they probably would have peeked me by now. So unlucky that she doesn't clear her corners, and a beautiful opening for Mel. She's been so good at finding those kinds of one-off picks, impact frags on the board.
Now we're forcing G2 on a much lower buy. Stinger in the hands of Mary. So we still want to try to allow Mary to do the best of her capabilities, entering on this chamber. Moving up on catwalk, met up with 2 other players, but it's still going to be Bob that decides to peek out towards the mid archway, gets the first blood into this round.
Yeah, and you can see all of this was just a ruse, right? I mean, A main is all of a sudden taken out, and that wall though from Jazzy, she's being a nuisance towards this cat. What a paranoia.
Wall miss, but still good enough to allow her to fall back and assist the rest of her teammates. Last 2 players now stuck inside Wine. Smoke coming up, and we're just going to drop smokes after smokes. And A site is on lock, and C9, I mean, they're always comfortable with this, Christine, with leaving Mel by herself on this B side with all that Cypher utility and putting a lot of pressure more on this A site.
Yeah, exactly. It's really the power of these Cypher compositions. You really don't need a lot of babysitting with that member, right? You don't need to do those normal 2-1-2s. You can really start the beginning with your Cypher, then let them play the whole round by themselves. And Mel is so good for it. Glance and Giuliano, they'll be happy if they're able to do some damage, but no damage to be found. Jazzy, such a rock star towards this cat area. And again, it's those walls. I like the timings of it. You know, we saw G2, the wall, from the beginning, right from the beginning, as the barriers go down, they're dropping it. Cloud9, they're choosing to hold on to the wall, wait just a little bit, so that they can get a little bit more value towards the latter part of the rounds.
So the prime gaming flawless as we see here. And actually that wall allows a little gap. That was a beautiful shot from Jazzikin to get that kill. And after those 3 kills, she also has a res ready for the team moving into the later rounds. And
just a little sliver. You know, we call those LAN angles. Definitely capitalizing on those LAN angles with that 3-ping. Beautiful stuff for Cloud9.
So a timeout comes out. This time from G2.
You gotta try to stop the truck, right?
So is it trying to fight against Mel? Because most of these rounds, as we just talked about, Mel's maybe by herself towards this B side. Do we want to try to do double pump? Sorry. What's the conversation you think is going on here, Christine?
Yeah, I think G2 are probably talking about the fact that the last couple of defaults were really centered around that mid, right? Which is, it should be. You do want to go take care of that Cypher trip, but now they want to do that in tandem with either B main control, cat control, or A main control on top of that mid control, right? Pick one of these 3, and with that double control, that should apply that sort of pressure that you're trying to look for on the Cloud9 side, and that starts to manipulate those kinds of rotations. Then you get a sound cue, then you got Mary and say, hey, Mary, go kill. So definitely, hopefully G2, we've seen it, right? Their game plan is very, very thick. They've got a lot of strats in their back pocket, so that's exactly what they're looking for to bring out to the table here.
And you definitely know that G2 has the means necessary to be able to throw these fakes and these pumps, because we saw that on our defense when they pushed up all the way up on mid, and we had that information on a rotate of C9, so they could create that noise, they could create that ruckus, and it starts off here towards mid, as you just mentioned here, Christine. So Mary moving forward once again, trying to see if they could find something, and this little change is from the Brimstone smoke that forces out an early owl drone from Bomb. So that's one piece of utility already gone, very important from the Silva, with 110 left on the clock.
Yeah, and you can see the spike is down outside of B main here. And as I said, we need B main control and mid 2 area, and that's exactly what G2 have gotten here. They're in prime position for this B split. You can see Mimi's just biding her time. What a shot coming out here for Bob. Mary thought she had the timing, and as she should, but Bob just kind of clotheslines her. Giuliano's going to be able to collect that spike, and all of her teammates are waiting for her at A.
Ult comes out now on the attack. That is G2 with Mimi and the rest of the team rushing into A. But look how far back we are right now. The spike has yet to move inside the site. Unfortunately, Mel has fallen at the top. Counter Hunter's Fury to try to stop things down towards this A site. But this should be a plant coming in, especially with this wall on the attack towards spawn.
Spike does go down. All 4 members, all 8 players in the server are all towards this cat and this site area. And the retake, Katsumi still has the paranoia. We've got 2 flashes on the back of Alexis as well.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's about to be blind.
This is going to be a big battle on tree, but we have a perfect crossfire. And it works out for 1-for-1. And it's a 1 for Giuliano to capitalize on a second, and a res available. Only 1 left on the defense. Bob knows exactly where the last 2 players are at, but Giuliano goes to work.
Beautiful reaction, and that res came out so quick as soon as she got that kill, understanding both players are coming out through that heaven. And you love to see that, right? You love to see those communications coming through right in the nick of time. G2, they're able to hold Cloud9 off at bay in those posts. And they've been finding those kinds of successes, right? Being able to get into the site and setting themselves up in those post plants has kind of been the story here in the second half.
I was just looking at that replay and kind of liked it. When that double flash came out, the person that was playing towards the left side of the garden didn't want to shoot until she heard contact from her teammates so that she doesn't give her position away. And I'm pretty sure that was Giuliano. That's how she was able to get those 2 kills. Exactly. So don't give your position away, bait your teammate, get the last 2 kills, and then win that round for G2. Now, this round, though, an op coming out from Jazzikins.
Beautiful opening. Battle Sage coming through. And that's kind of what C9 needed to make sure that G2 don't start this sort of comeback. Wall goes down. And another opening. Jazzy's not missing.
And a leg shot onto Giuliano. Now the trap comes in, and that's Mel. Catches him, and that's the hat coming out from the Cypher. The detective spots the last player, and that's going to be Giuliano. Slow orb, killed by Alexis. And that's a way to answer back with the Prime giving flawless.
Jeez, and it just becomes so oppressive at that point, right? I feel kind of bad for Giuliano there in mid. There was a slow orb. There was a one-way smoke. There was a leg, right? And you took so much damage, so much pressure coming through here for Cloud9. And it's good to see that their crossfire, for these last 2 rounds anyway, towards that pizza area in middle has come through, right? We saw Bob getting that beautiful one-tap in mid, and now we're seeing this operator coming out for Jazzykins, just really dominating that part of the map.
Look at us, Christine. We're actually putting a lot of eggs into our basket in this round for G2. A half buy that comes in, getting whatever we can. Actually, even a force buy. We bought all the way down to almost nearly nothing. And they have at least the Phantom to work with from Mary. Again, trying to leverage her as the entry. Bulldog from Glance, but picking up this alt orb and also having this orbital strike ready now with the Hunter's Fury could be huge for them to turn it around.
Yeah, if you're G2 here, you're somewhat satisfied at this point in the round, right? You're communicating with each other. Hey, look, we just baited out Kasumi's Paranoia. What other kind of stopping power do they have over there? We still got Alexis's nade, and we've got Jazzykin's slows. So at this point, they're looking for the trips, and they're looking for these Sage util, that wall. And then they're going to be able to pounce with the Spectre, with the pistols. We've seen how deadly and dangerous these sort of quasi-buys can be. This angle for Jazzykins, though, these are freebies. And Petra thinks twice before giving her those freebies.
That would have been a great opportunity as well for G2 to fight back into this B site, but they
trip.
decide to go back into A. But the trip does not get the kill. Mimi still gets first blood in this round, so Mel falls. Katsumi tries to answer back by spraying through the smoke, but the plant's still going to go down at default here for Glance.
This 1v1 from Bob.
Yes.
Here we go. Sova versus Sova. This kill is going to be everything. That sound cue. Bob hears Petra going back.
Well then, to res up Mel. And the fight comes in with the op. Jazzykin connects onto Mary, and Giuliano looks to tuck back. And what a shot from Bob. Then moves forward, but it will not take this corner. The Dig at least gets the kill with the Bulldog. Now the battle at the bottom. The jump from the air. And Giuliano tries to take her down, but they're both still alive. Both stuck at generator for C9. Right click doesn't work. It's going to be the boomstick. And now only Glance left. Orbital strike. And they're playing the clock. They're playing the time. And this is perfect for Glance so far. Now on the peak, the headshot there from Jazzykins. The defuse will be coming in.
Oh my, 0.35, 0.35. And that was as close as it can get. That shot, Jazzykins, it was everything. And those are the hardest shots to hit, but Jazzy is good for it.
And she wants to aim at the head on top of that.
Yes, I mean, it's just in her blood. I think it's the age, it's the zoomer in her. She's nothing but headshots this one, and she's good for it. Bob, I mean, just the positioning for Cloud9. They had everything they needed to make this retake work, even with G2 making it into the site as easy as they did.
Oh, I love the attitude that we see here from Jazzykins. Straight swagger, exactly.
Yes.
And G2, unfortunately, in another round where the economy is in shambles. Thankfully, though, they have that dual defense available from Mary, but that's a chamber on the attack. And the Owl drone from Bob sees that a trip is actually towards B main. So does this mean that we have less players on the attack for G2 towards B main? How do you adapt for C9?
Yeah, I kind of like the fact that Jazzy's not going to mess with that trip. She's just leaving it open, and she's maintaining that line of sight. I wouldn't be surprised if Bob early rotates, but the fact that they don't have this mid control is making her stay towards this market area. But right now, Cloud9, they've got a lot of information. This trip is holding them at bay at Cat as well.
I think Petra just got legged. Actually, Jazzikin's pushed out, saw her later,
Wait,
and
what
now they're falling back towards the A side, and Katsumi gets the pick onto Giuliano. Then Knife comes out for information on more. Paranoia to answer back, and this is not looking good for G2 to turn it back around here on Ascent. 4 players left alive, and this round, important. But it's not going to work out. It's clean so far for C9. A 3 versus 1. Glance has to pop off, but it's Mel instead. And C9 win the first map 13-7.
What a round. What a confusing round as well. You know, we kind of saw Giuliano walking her way across that cat. And, you know, that's kind of one of those feel-bad moments. You always, as a player, you're like, guys, I have timing. I have timing. I'm going to make it up, cat. And unfortunately for Alexis, she's just like, okay, well, I'll take that one out. And as clean as you can get for Cloud9 White, you are satisfied. You're more than satisfied with the fact that you're able to close it out cleanly in map 1.
Yeah, at least we got a little bit of juice coming out from G2 when they play that defense. It looked like they definitely had control of that defensive half, but again, having to play against C9's setup here on defense doesn't seem to work out for G2.
It doesn't seem to indeed. Map 1, that change in composition, the Brimmy with the Stimmy, it doesn't seem to have worked out for G2. Again, though, a bunch of decent ideas in the beginning. That first half, 6-6, was neck and neck.
Yeah, and you just saw C9 wave off here as we're waiting for the second map to start. But at the same time, when, you know, they're waving, we got a couple of cheers coming out from C9, but that's that G2 house starting to turn into a little bit, you know, might call it a library for now. I don't know. Where are the G2 fans to help them out for the second map?
You're brave, fans. You're brave. Definitely brave. There they are. G2 Mary watch party. You love to see it. And you can kind of see that for G2 side of things, at least going into map 2, Mary, she's loosening up.
Yep.
I mean, at least on the scoreboard side of things, she was putting on an absolute show on that chamber. And as your young superstar gets looser and, you know, she starts to gain a little bit more confidence, that's exactly what you want if you're G2.
Very emotional, this Mary player so far. And at the same time, though, when you look back at the G2 roster and that experience, right? It's one of those moments where G2, they have, you know, Yinsu talked about it before, 37 years of experience, still younger than me, but still 37 years of experience, and that could work out here for the second map.
Exactly. I mean, Giuliano's been playing on these international big stages for so many years, just really kind of dominating NA for a lot of fans. So she's used to this. She's used to the spotlight being on her for sure.
Yeah, well, that at least is going to be G2's map on, going to be the second one here on Breeze, and let's see what happens after the break. Great job, great job.
Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody, to Berlin, Germany, where we just witnessed Cloud9 White take their 21st win on Ascent this year and still 0 losses. I'm Yingsu. I'm back here with Athena and Ender. You gloat. Do your thing. I'll let you.
No, I'm good.
All right,
Look, the series isn't over just yet, okay? I still need C9 to close out. I was hyping up beforehand, but I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch.
Athena?
I've never heard that before.
How have you never heard that before?
Okay, anyway. I think G2 definitely, they needed way more rounds on that defense side with that comp. I think going forward, I hope that maybe their comp on Breeze, kind of brings them back. We saw them play. I hope they're a lot more confident on that. But yes, C9 White, super disciplined. Their defense side is just unbreakable at some point. Like you said earlier, they had no util, they had nothing for Cypher, and it just kept going and going, and you could tell that they couldn't find that little crack in the defense side.
Yeah, if G2 was ever going towards B, it was a Cypher Kingdom. If they were ever trying to creep up mid, it was either Mel or it was Bob, absolutely shutting it down. Once Jazzy got the operator online too, that just added just another layer that made the game so hard for G2. And I mean, the heartbreak of heartbreaks is the two Thrifties. Round 2 and this bonus that C9 was able to win.
Yeah, I mean, we see Mel here again playing so disciplined that Mary just thought she had the freedom to kind of walk up, but no, it was not free. She actually ended up getting the kill, and they completely converted this round into a win. It was a 4v3. I mean, G2 really had to grasp onto this round, and it's so sad because if G2 had won those two Thrifties that they did indeed lose, it would have been a much closer game.
Yeah, you have those two Thrifties, and then you also have that moment later in the game where Glance used the Brimstone ult and Cat diffuses on 0.35 seconds. The Brimstone ult wasn't fully centered on the spike, and if you'd forced Cat to make those 5 extra steps with the centered ult, that's a round win for G2. Maybe we're going to OT.
I mean, it kind of feels like a controller diff. I hate to say it, but it felt like a controller diff. And I don't mean it specifically about the players, but definitely about the agent picks. Brimstone for me just wasn't hitting. It really wasn't. They were using their smokes early. They used 2 smokes. They couldn't hit the site because, again, Cypher was there to stop it. And so just like that, Brimstone's utility is almost rendered useless. And so, yeah, I'm not 100% sure about that, but I guess we'll see when we go forward.
I mean, there's a lot of great highlights from that map we saw. And here is one, Alexis in the Verizon high-speed moment with a Sheriff. I did not expect her to do this, but I think all of us were kind of off our seats when we saw this happen.
This was just crazy because it's oh yeah, G2 are going to win this round. And then boom, 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 the absolute speed of Alexis on this one. To get those 2 shots, the headshot on Mary. Can't pull together the 1v5 ace at the end of the day, but who actually cares? Alexis, just on another level today, even earlier today, had so many huge rounds, especially on Ascent. It has seemed kind of like her kingdom in just the 2 maps we've seen her play it so far.
Yeah, that was seriously like a chef's kiss moment, She damaged their economy. She did her job. They didn't win the round, but she still managed to get 3 guns down.
She doesn't say a word. He gets 3 kills
Yeah, she's just chill like that.
My Sheriff does.
I didn't know she was chill like that.
My Sheriff literally never does that. I don't know why everyone else's Sheriff seems to be doing that. But I think the issue is, and as we saw from there, the duels, they were going Cloud9 White's way. You can't just leave opportunities for a team like Cloud9 White, because I feel like G2 got punished harder there than they have maybe all year in Europe.
I think when you play against Cloud9, you're playing against one of the most structured teams. So especially when you're attacking into them, they just don't leave holes for you to sneak past, especially because they're playing something like the Cypher as well. So you can have a trip and then also a kill trip on site. You're just never getting through that.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about Alexis, we've spoken about Mel. We haven't spoken about Bob for, I think, 20 minutes. So let's talk about Bob. Here she is in the AIM lab. A shoot-around, had a great performance against Crew, and continuing Athena to have a great performance here against G2 as well.
Yeah, I mean, Bob just kind of playing all roles, even though she is, again, on that initiator role. I'm really interested to see how this Breeze kind of plays out, because, everything is going to kind of hinge on if G2 can kind of get the edge with the way that they were playing earlier and fixing their little micro mistakes that they were having, and then C9 just kind of trying to adapt straight away by seeing what they saw earlier.
I just have one request for C9, and that's keep Bob on the Sova. Put her back on the Sova on this map. She switched over to the Viper lately, but oh my gosh, the way she controls Halls and Nest on Sova, you just can't actually lurk up against her. You don't even need to waste Cypher trips, chamber trips, anything. She'll just just guard that, and her timings, her game sense is just on another level.
Well, let's talk about Breeze a little bit, because when we were watching Ascend, I think you guys were discussing why Breeze was actually a really smart pick from G2, despite what happened on map 1. Why do you guys feel like that this was the right thing for them to do?
Well, generally speaking, I just think C9, when you're playing against a team as good as C9, Breeze is the map that opens up the most like volatility, right? Very puggy map. It's a map where if you have a really strong Jet player that can push out on defense, you can just win rounds for your team and break them before a team like C9 can set up. So C9 aren't bad on this map by any means, but in terms of the overall pool, I'd say, yeah, I'd like to play against them here.
Yeah, I mean, G2 definitely, like, their comp, it works for them. And I think it's a lot more comfortable of a comp than what they had on Ascent. I mean, Juliano on that stage, she was getting kills at the end, you know, but it wasn't what I wanted to see. It wasn't what everyone wants to see. We want to see Juliano in that kind of forward position, making the calls. And so, like, this comp that I think that they're about to play is way, way more comfortable, and they have that slight edge over C9.
Well, we're into the Prime Gaming Agent select here, and a great Jet could break them, but what about a great Reyna?
Honestly, okay, I'm gonna say it. It's not the worst thing in the world. I'm a small believer on this. But look, Juliano hasn't been having like a really standout day so far, even on the Reyna earlier today. So I'm definitely wanting to see more out of her. But overall, like, it does allow you to do some crazy things in terms of the peaks, like sort of dancing around like that right side pyramid on A. You can shut down a lot of the attack with multiple reef peaks as a defender.
Yeah, I think that C9 going with the Jet and the Chamber just means they're going to definitely set up that double op on defense. Yep. So we're going to have to see like how G2 can kind of get past that double op setup.
Well, G2, they have to win here if they don't want to give C9 White the 2-0. Potter and Van Silly, let's see if they can.
Definitely want to know if they can, right? As North America, no, I'm kidding. We would. I'm Van Silly. I want nice games. I want a third map, you know.
Yeah,
but also, we want to go back into this Breeze matchup here, Christine. Reyna being picked out of Juliano.
Yes.
We saw it earlier on, but no changes for C9. What does that mean here?
I think they're expecting the same old, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Alexis's tweet earlier, I think, and the fact that she's kind of looking for a challenge, and the challenge should come off the back of Reyna. Look, I'm on Ender's side here. There is a world where this works. We haven't seen the Lears in competition in quite some time. If they're able to do it in tandem with the old school Sova drone going up, high, low, with the Lear down low, which one do you shoot at? Do you suffer getting tagged, or do you suffer being blind? There's a lot of choosy decisions when you're taking those duels. So, hey, there's a world. Juliano, I'm excited to see it.
Well, hopefully it's this world so we can see this third map between C9 White and G2 as we're kicking things off now on Breeze. C9 on defense, G2 on the attack, and lots of mid-control already with the first contact. We talked about Juliano, but it's still going to be the young gun and the veteran, but it's answered back by Mel. G2 now opening the B site and running in, and it's a rotate coming out, and it's going to take a while. Katsumi's already down to 13 HP. She needs Bob, who's all the way across the other side of the map.
Yeah, exactly. Katsumi's just waiting and biding her time. She cannot go down. Petra, at this point in time, she's already got an inkling of this potential flank happening. Bob's got to get some incredible shots to be able to make this retake happen. And the knife.
Oh.
The jig is up.
Yep.
G2 absolutely aware at this point.
It's just time to duel now. And Bob was looking for that first contact, but I love it. Smart here for G2. Play your numbers, play the pulse line. Nice flash to come out too. And that's Katsumi to fall. And that just lowers the percentage rate for Bob to try to clutch this. And there you go, G2. Very nice on that pulse line to win the pistol.
Exactly. Such good utility to even secure it there at the end. And again, we've been seeing these combinations coming out from these players just in tandem, right? A flash with the knife or spacing with the Hunter's Fury. Beautiful stuff to really capitalize on all the pressure that these players are applying. And man, just almost a recovery, a little bit of a whiff at the beginning, and then just G2 exploding onto this site.
If anything, Mel got her too, but at the same time, it was heroic effort that was needed by C9 from nice spacing coming out from G2. And yeah, that was surprising what happened there at the beginning on that mid-fight. But again, after the pulse plant, everything was nice and clean. And this round already contact now towards mid. A save round for C9, but still damage in favor of the defense.
Yeah, that's some decent damage. It is onto the Reyna,
Yep.
unfortunately,
Yep.
who's able to just kind of suck her life back up to full. But
Get topped off.
Cloud9, they're being very brave here. Already pushed out of A main, and they see the trip. Gonna go ahead and decide to break it, and the jig is up. G2, you can see immediately Mary reacting, and they're gonna speed it up.
Oh yeah, realizing that the B side is now open. Just storming through. They have the power of numbers and the power of the guns and the power of friendship.
Stop it. You stop it right now. Very coming through with the Marshall. We'll see. She's got that elbow control, and okay, she's gonna go. Oh,
Oh my.
okay. Okay.
Okay, let's try to see how much more damage we could do here, though. We activate the dash for Jazikin, trying to see if they could salvage anything up here. Marshall available. Spot it now. Glance looking for a pre-fired shot. Glance, though, lines both of them down, and that is not going to be a weapon that's going to be able to get saved. Last two now at the arches, at the wall. And that is going to be G2. Very, very nice anti-eco in C9 White. They're going to have to work a little bit more here to try to make that economy a little bit more expensive for G2 in the later rounds.
Exactly, and we'll see the first real gun round coming through here for Cloud9. The Sky pick, you know, it's another unorthodox picks along with the Reyna, especially on this Breeze. And, you know, the strength of a Sky on maps like Breeze and Bind, it's absolutely all the info. On such a map as big and large as Breeze, it takes such a long time to rotate from one part of the map to the other. So once you have that inkling, once you have that info that the enemies are working one part of the map, you can kind of do that process of elimination as the defender. So definitely looking to see what kind of info Alexis is able to get. Mel gets taken out. She misses the shot.
At least Jazikins is there, but the op is down and out in the open. We're trying to fight back with the split for G2 as we open the door. And there's that flash that we're talking about from the Reyna. But Katsumi at the bottom of the bridge, you got to pay the toll, and it's gonna be denied.
3v3 post, Bob. The wall is already down, so she's got to be good for this flank to make things happen. Cloud9, they're slowing it down to make that flank do something, and during that time, Alexis was able to find one.
It's almost at a point where they just want to make it expensive for G2. If they're going to forfeit the round on a 3-2, it's going to be unorthodox to do. But they're going to have to start acting quickly, because that clock is ticking down.
One enemy
ADSing with the
Oh,
shock
what
dart.
a
Katsumi
combo.
gets the kill, but that's Giuliano also at orange. She had a great spot in the forward position. Looks for the last two. As somehow the communication wasn't there. Somehow Giuliano gets a 4K into the round and the Red Bull clutch.
What a clutch coming through, and she had to be good for those shots. That patience we talked about, you know, Vans, even I thought, okay, they're just going for damage, but they had every opportunity to win that round, right? And patience, again, almost paying off for Cloud9, but Giuliano, she's just as confident as we thought, man. That Reyna, it is absolutely paying off. The raid boss Reyna can be absolutely terrifying if you're on the other end of things.
I still kind of want to know what happened there in that communication when Bob was just running, flipping through utility, flipping through the guns, and then that allowed Giuliano to just get those opening last two. That was quite intriguing, but that at least puts G2 at a 3-0 and C9 White on an eco, pushing two towards the A-holes.
Bob, good for one, gets immediately traded out, and that stopping power towards B is no longer there. Alexis all alone, just those light weaponry as well, just a couple of sheriffs. Alexis has been so deadly. She's been biding her time and her confidence. This would be the moment.
Unfortunately, she gets pinched from behind. So that B side hiding into the shadows doesn't work out. Mel trying to do something with a headhunter, but this eco that comes out from C9 unfortunately won't do as much damage as C9 expected. Mary now putting up these kills, putting up the numbers, continuing her reign here on her first LAN at the Game Changers here in Berlin.
Textbook anti-eco, textbook indeed, and at least Giuliano went down. Right? If you're Cloud9 White, that's what you're saying for sure. We got ultimates coming online here for G2. They're already 4-0 up, and this KO ultimate, that means one thing usually, Vans. It's go, go, go.
It means you are powerless. But definitely on the go. On the other end, though, a glass cannon, operator coming out from Mel. Is this going to be the answer back? As we're looking at the positioning, though, Mel is all the way towards B, while the rest of G2 looking for that quick hit towards this A site.
Oh, I like this Lear. It's gonna block off the vision for Jazzykins, allow that drone again to get a lot of space, but Bob doesn't care. No Viper wall, it doesn't matter. Gets a clean shot, and Katsumi follows as well.
What a drive-by coming through, and that's a great hold by C9. Both Katsumi and Bob doing their job. As Katsumi still has his drone, she clears it out, trying to clear it out, but Petra answers back, getting a nice timing. Now the drone finally is going to ping her. This will allow Bob to get the wall bang. Well, I guess some sort of a wall bang. It's through the toxic screen as the spike falls. 2 more to go. And you mentioned it, it's Giuliano. It's going to be a tough one still here for C9. Spike still down, out in the open. Glance gets pinged out. But it still could allow Giuliano to get a pick.
Ooh. What a round for Bob. She does get finally taken out. Giuliano is able to replenish her HP just a little bit.
Correct.
But it's a 3 versus 1, and Cloud9 are so good at not over-peaking, not being overzealous, as disciplined as ever, and Giuliano is going to come into 2 crosshairs right here.
That's exactly it, but she gets the kill onto Alexis. A 2 versus 1, but then Mel answers back. It was close. We felt it at some point.
We did, and that's where Reina shine, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're Giuliano, that you will eat that up every Tuesday of the week. But certainly, oh man, what a hold. What a hold coming out here for Cloud9. First round on the board, and they absolutely needed it. The fact that they're able to get these kills clean before G2 is able to even make any space. And this readjustment coming out here for Bob after this clean kill to go behind these Ivy area is just everything.
Yeah, and the flexibility as well of this team for C9. The patience is so good. You know, we always talk about Bob. Okay, awesome here on Asova, but this time it's actually Katsumi that's playing it, right? Bob's playing a Viper here. And Katsumi and Bob are still able to play this A site quite well together. And then on that 3 versus 1, you already had first contact. Just let the other 2, let Giuliano cross, and you try to win that after. So great discipline for C9. Now the discipline, we're hoping to see this from G2, as it's going to be Mary pushing up here with the Tour de Force.
A lot of information gained. Alexis, the jig is up. Mary has been spotted, and Jazzykin so aggressive. Once again, has all of that Hall's control and is giving that information over towards her teammates, sees that trip, and we can expect to see some rotations coming through here for Cloud9. They've just given up the site completely, though. They're really playing far back off that trip.
Yeah. Pings are even coming out just to make sure we knife out towards the back of the site for G2. It's going to be a great opening, especially with that kill coming out from Alexis towards the arches. Petra falls from Mel right after. So the Yoppers from both teams going to work.
The flank from Jazzy finally coming towards fruition, and the timing glance just barely goes past the corner, and Jazzy's rewarded because of it.
That activated her dash to spot Glance as well, and that's going to be Glance by herself. Now with this Vandal, looking for this duel win, but there's only 18 seconds left, so trying to make the best out of the opportunity to at least win this duel against Jazzykins, and it works out. After that, more econ damage if you can. But 3 players all over here for C9, and that's a perfect contact to swing out. C9 puts 2 on the board.
Oh, if you're seeing, I'm sweating I'm wiping the sweat off my forehead, man.
Yeah, and we got AC here.
That was tough. Yeah, that was a tough round to win. And man, this flank from Jazzykins was absolutely everything. Without this B site is just completely gone.
Yeah.
G2 are completely controlling all of that mid area. And even though Jazzykins has pushed down that halls, I believe this is the 3rd round in a row. At this point now, G2 are already talking to themselves and saying, hey, we can't let her push down halls anymore. So C9 need a different winning strategy in order to be able to consistently put rounds on the board here.
Yeah, and that's putting Jazzykins at that halls with the operator at the beginning of this round. Meanwhile, though, we have another push from Mel. So a double op setup here for Cloud9 White. Op shot misses, but at least some information there that it's been very passive for G2 at the beginning of the round. All of them now congregated towards a passive mid, where it doesn't work out on the op for Mary, and the op battle comes in favor of Mel.
What a 1-2 punch combo there. Alexis and Mel just completely holding down the fort. Jazzykin's gonna take her chances as well. That's a lot of information. I believe she did spot that KO maybe down in lower mid. Drone is up towards A main, and Cloud9, they've got all the information they need. Beautiful shot coming out here for Bob.
Hunter's Fury now coming out from Katsumi. Looking for some pings as the Seeker's on top of that. trying to line up that Hunter's Fury, but it's going to be the bullets of Bob's instead.
Wow.
Woo, 2 clean shots, a win, a Prime Gaming flawless.
You love to see it. That's a feel-good round for Bob. That is absolutely a feel-good round. You were 0-4 down, and you were able to hit a couple of clean shots like that, and now all of a sudden, your teammates can absolutely vibe off you. G2 absolutely dominant in the first part of this first half, and slowing down just a little bit. But as I say that, they've got the ultimates online coming through into this next one in order to just really bounce back.
Oh yeah.
Spike down A. 1 enemy remaining.
Bob, from that fumble to now the clean rounds, making it very difficult now for G2 on the attack to get any type of map control at the beginning of this round. The extremities are well controlled by C9, and you're starting to see that confidence with them pushing more towards the extremities to capitalize on that map control that's given away by G2.
Yeah, exactly. Giuliano, though, this time, she does not want those shenanigans. She's going to take her chances solo, taking over this Hall's control as her team gets mid. They've been able to get all of this mid almost for free this entire half. So Giuliano, this timing, there's no trip. Oh.
Yeah, we're talking about Bob, and now is Bob getting 2 kills off screen. So that mid control, it looks like it's always going to be open here for G2, but it's just continuous beautiful crossfires and aiming down long sights that comes in favor here of Cloud9 already at a 3-player advantage. A flash coming out to get information courtesy of Alexis.
And you can see Mel already holding that line of sight right by her side.
This is perfect.
Mimi. Mel knows. Mel knows all.
Exactly. Mimi thought she had the timing and could assist her teammate.
Woo! That's a flick.
Of the day?
Potentially.
But if not confirmed, the Prime Gaming flawless. That's what, 2 in a row so far for Cloud9 White. So we're starting to see that they're feeling confident, especially with this double op setup against G2.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of breathing room, right?
Yeah.
And if you're Cloud9, you absolutely need that, not just in the server for frags, but for the money side of things, right? You talked about Prime Gaming flawless, all 5 members up. That's a lot of cash, and you need that cash to be able to close out the rest of this half. It would be incredible if you're Cloud9 to be able to close this one out, potentially 7-5, potentially 8-4. So for G2, I'm expecting potentially a timeout in the into the next gun round.
Probably need that indeed. Now, hero rifle for Mary into this round. Aldrone shot away by Mel, so no ping Hunter's Fury to come out. That's going to make things a little bit more difficult for G2 to add that aggression and move in. But they move in with the power numbers once again, but Alexis lines up quite a few for 4 kills into the round. And somehow it becomes a 2 versus 1. Giuliano, she was eyeing for that gun, but it got stopped by Bob real quick.
And thankfully so, man. I swear, when you see that Reyna coming through, it can get pretty dicey. So beautiful shot for Bob. And you know, we talked about it in NA a little bit, but the fact that Bob is able to really just change her role on a fly, on a dime like that, it's fantastic flexing ability for Cloud9 White. You see Bob now on the Viper instead of her normal agent on the Sova, but...
Don't go to her site! Don't go to her site! Don't go to her site or don't go to her site!
Tell us, Mel. Yes, don't go to their sites. Let them know, Mel, for sure. Absolutely. They're feeling good, man.
Oh, yeah. They definitely
really
looks like they're feeling good for sure, and that's why this timeout is much needed here. Called out by Carcass, the coach of G2, to see how they could discuss things out. 25 seconds left to figure out how they can open up the sites. Everything's a lockdown here from C9.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, Glance has been holding on to this Viper ult here for quite some time. I'm expecting to see something off of this, right? We'd mentioned the Hunter's Fury on Petra's back. We need to see both of these ultimates going down. Generally speaking, on the attack side, you don't really see a lot of Viper ultimates making impact in the beginning of the rounds, but usually in the mid round. Usually when things are slowing down a little bit, you're able to maybe drop it down without any teammates in A main and really just apply a little bit of pressure, manipulate some of those rotations. So definitely looking to see G2 use both of these ultimates no matter what coming into this round.
That seemed to be the issue. When you're able to have at least a numbers advantage to get into a site to pop off the Viper's pit, but they've been losing a lot of these players themselves, G2, when they're trying to get the early map control. So that timeout, you got to figure out how you're going to be able to keep your players alive on these hits, or at least on the first contact. And it looks to be an A split into this round. This could be good, Christine, because you have the Aldrone that can work out with the Hunter's Fury, and there's no KO on the other end to stop you.
Absolutely. These Lears are putting a lot of pressure on Mel. G2 are able to push her back. Job done, and Katsumi under a lot of pressure.
Elise gets that first one, got her one. Juliano answers back, and there's that Hunter's Fury that we talked about. A blind ult that came out, but Jazzikins, nice shot there onto Mary. Recon dart just to keep her at bay at the doors for now. The pit that we mentioned before comes out as well. A battle ensues towards Orange, and that's Juliano, her favorite spot on this map. Answered back by Mel with the headshot as well from the Vandal. Glance dancing inside the pit, welcoming the rest of C9 into her world, into this Viper's pit, spawning one at the doorway.
She's got time on her side. Spike is ticking away. The onus is on Cloud9 to make the move. They've got to make it into this Viper's pit, and I love the positioning from Glance.
Now we got time. Snake light on the ground! The lineup for the win! The Red Bull clutch for G2 Glance!
Just perfectly lined up together, and their HPs are already decaying, right? So Glance, she doesn't even have to aim there. Beautifully done, really capitalizing off the kit of Viper. But what an execute coming here for Juliano. We talked about the Leers, and it's a little bit underrated, right? You don't expect it to have that much pressure, but Mel couldn't shoot anything. She couldn't see anything. All of her shots were going to deny the Leers, and that was all the space G2 needed. With that much Hall's control, they can have a lot of fun in that A site.
And when you have moments where the first execute for the trades is quite nice for G2, but when they lose those fights, you still have heroic players such as Juliano to just play that A side on her own on the post plant. This round, though, you saw that little bit of a mishap, a little bit of a mistake. The poison cloud that missed towards the door.
It missed.
Exactly. But it still allowed a save there on the top where Mimi could actually move out, so we'll take it.
Yeah,
we'll take
you know what? If you're Glance, you're saying that was absolutely calculated. You're welcome. I blocked off that vision for you. But I like this move for Mel, right?
Yeah.
Right off the beginning, being very proactive, looking for these duels. She wants to take this round into her own hands. But G2, decent response. The flash didn't make its mark. Oh, uncharacteristic miss.
But Alexis is still there for support. There's that trade-off, but already Petra's there. Katsumi already at the wall too, but she's by herself, looking to potentially fall back, wait for her teammates to move forward, but unfortunately gets caught through the toxic screen. Off to the decay, falls to her death. Bob
Spike planted.
looking to make at least a 2 versus 2 if she can get an early pick. But this position on the top of mid from Mimi, quite important.
Jazzikins, it looks like she does have a bit of a read. It looks she wanted to clear it, but the timing is beautiful for Mimi. Taking that time to just kind of swing out, and Juliano seals the deal. This B site has been a bit of an issue here for Cloud9, and those misses, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough if you're Mel.
And but I want to talk about misses actually, but in favor of G2, that poison orb that was missed by Glance didn't allow for them to get the poison orb on the top of the A nest, right on mid nest. I thought it was going to be so difficult for G2 to move into that split into the B site, but somehow it was left so passively for C9, and it was capitalized by G2.
Yeah, G2 really taking that time as soon as Mel forced that TP away. They had all that control. I think it's a good point, Vans. Cloud9, they've got to do something about this tunnel area. Those splits have been deadly.
Well, as they're focusing on the tunnel, you already see from this radar that Bob is moving forward, but for the rest of G2, seems like the plan is to look again for a mid to A split if they can, but with a lot of pressure once again from Juliano with the Reyna on the top of their door.
Where did that Lear go? I think it might have missed the mark. Kasumi has an inkling that there's a lot of pressure towards Hall. The communication's coming through, and she's good for the pick.
And a null command also to take control towards mid. Look at this pivot back from G2 to move towards this B site.
It's completely clear.
And all of C9 towards the spawn, just to try to fight back against Juliano. The respect that's given to that player as Bob watches the archway. Glance, unfortunately, overcommitted, thinking that she had the timing to cut the rotation. And it's up to Juliano to do that now. And look at that. 2 players from C9 White around the corner. Here comes the first trade. Headhunter, the re-heal, 58 HP. Mel looking to battle back, and as she runs out the door, Alexis greets her at the bottom of the staircase, but the action's not done yet. Spike has been planted, and another player falls towards B. 3 players alive now for C9, make that 2. As now we've evened out the rotation for G2. Spike planet for B main, where exactly Mimi's moving forward. Mary being the other point of contact with this operator towards ladder.
Last player standing.
Time is ticking away. Mimi, another beautiful shot. Viper's pit looked like it was going to go down, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's just
Not
ticking
gonna
away.
happen.
Yeah.
Not even a halfway.
Oh,
The least you could do here is do a little bit of damage. Put that at least into your pocket, Bob, for those 2 kills. But the round still comes in for G2, and they take the lead in this half, 7-5.
What a round. And Giuliano, you know, she only got 1 kill in that round, but the impact, the pressure that we talked about, not just from her Leers, but just the presence that she's putting towards that Halls area. There was 4 members of Cloud9 that had to deal with 1 Giuliano. And because of this, they couldn't defend the B site, right? So the game plan for G2 right now, it just seems to be all on Giuliano's back as far as the pressure goes.
Exactly, and if it's Julian on one side, it's also Mary on how she's able to open up towards that mid take. So it looks pretty clean. A 6-6 on the first half, now a 7-5, or sorry, on the first map, and now a 7-5 on the second map. Let's see what Juliana could do with this Reyna and what Ender thinks about it at the desk.
Damn, Van Silly stealing my job, trying to ask questions on the desk. We're gonna get to that in a second. But Ender, how fun is it to watch these 2 teams play against
Oh my
each
gosh,
other?
the on-cam reactions are insane. Like, you have Mel jumping out of her chair, like, never come to our site, get out of here. And then you have Mimi with the best, like, facial expressions, looking straight into the camera. It's just so fun to watch. 2 teams that not only are just cracked out in the servers, but also giving us a show.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams definitely playing it really, really close, but the reactions are honestly the best part, making it super, super entertaining to watch.
Yeah, we're gonna see it in a second here. Here it is. I know, Ender, honestly, I feel like there's a different emotion from Mimi for anything. We don't have it yet, but maybe
She
we'll
did
get
something like, oh, okay, no, here we go. Here it
is.
comes. I love it. Like,
I love that. Look at her.
absolutely great. It's like she's just staring at the camera at all times. I just absolutely love, like, what is this? What is this?
Oh my
She thinks she's at like a photo shoot or something, like giving all the different poses.
Oh, the uwu. The
Incredible.
Uwu. Have
Incredible.
to end it with that. But yeah, Mimi's having a lot of fun. But on the other side, I gotta say, Athena, the Reyna, it's working finally.
I know, like, I really want to see Giuliano kind of keep up this pace that she's at, because on that defense or on that attack side she was doing great. Compared to how she was playing against Crew, she actually was popping off. I mean, on Crew she had 9 kills on first half, but now she's at that 16 kills, almost double of what she was doing. She actually ended up using her Leers perfectly. It countered the ops. It went really, really well, and so going forward she really has to keep up this kind of momentum on her Reyna. She still has to play it aggressive, especially on defense side, just to make sure that they have that space and deny the Jet running in and everything else.
I'm sold on the Reyna. I'm here for it. I loved the Leers, and now on defense, taking over those early fights, she's got to be big.
Well, Vans, I hope you're satisfied with that answer. Let's see if G2 can go all the way in the second half.
Thank you so much, Ender. If Ender believes, I believe. Giuliano's 16-8 on this Reyna, as now G2 takes the reign of the defender half. We've seen it before during the replays, during the stats that you see powered by AWS. That Giuliano and the rest of G2 have been flawless on this map since October.
Looking good, looking good. They're going to need to start with this pistol to ride that momentum, especially from the first half. Cloud9, they were able to really take over the second half in the first map because of this. And there it is. Jazzykins just clotheslined Mary. That's a freebie. No trade in sight.
As we have the Trailblazer coming out from Alexis, spotting one towards the ladder, but it's still going to be Giuliano. Dropping down Katsumi in close range Mel. Headshot and a TP away, but that also means that C9 forfeits the B site. And they're going to try to cut doors for now.
And even though Cloud9 White are down numbers here, the controller in Viper, Bob, is still up. That means the wall can be kind of messed around with, and you can really play some mind games at this point. Cloud9 absolutely going to take advantage of that. Cut noise, as you say, Vans, and give Bob some time.
Yeah, that's a great point, Christine Ashley. By having this Viper still alive, you sell this fake by putting the wall up, still has a snake bite to work with. We'll see the last two maybe go through the doors, but that's also being weighted and graded by Mary as that chamber.
Mary, this line of sight in mid
30
is
seconds left.
so much information. She gets a heads up, and even the gun barrel showing, oh, such a close shot. A lot of damage, though.
Exactly.
Mel barely limping.
Doesn't miss on that shot, though, with the TP away. Alexis and Bob, 4 versus 2, disadvantage for C9. 13 seconds left on the clock. Alexis moves in, also spots Mimi on the top of the bridge. We have at least crossed over for a plant. This is huge.
Yeah, she's gonna get the spike down, and
Player standing.
Bob, so much pressure, does get traded out. Alexis is 1 versus 3, no utility on her back either.
And that's the first contact against Giuliano, but unfortunately all shoulder body shots. Another pistol round coming in for G2, so that's 3 pistols versus 1 overall in this series so far for the G2 house.
Yeah, you're absolutely more than satisfied if you're G2 with those kinds of stats coming in. And, you know, the desk mentioned it again. I think it was Myrna that said, if you're Reyna, you don't want to slow down just because you switch over to the defense side, right?
Yep.
You want to keep going forward, and that's kind of what we're seeing. Giuliano has not slowed down. She's finding opening picks left and right, and that confidence is booming.
Yeah, and you saw it from the replay on that first kill. She couldn't have done it without that recon that came out here from Petra. So the teamwork continues on for G2 on this defense. And for this defensive setup for this round, still going to be some heavy utility from the Viper on the A site being glanced. And for C9, it's a force buy, running right up towards the doorway. Double doors, now the tailwind activated, but stopped by Mimi. Glance and Bob trade each other out, as it's looking good, at least for Bob on the long range with the Sheriff.
Spike down.
Not until
A.
Mary comes towards the staircase. Bob now, who did have 2 kills coming in, looking for the last 3, unfortunately misses that recon dart, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough at this point. Petra peeking out. Nice headshot there, but down to 47 HP. Contacting on the second one as Giuliano is inching up, but it's not needed. Mary gets the kill at orange, and that is going to be the anti-eco converted for G2.
Close round, close round. I like the idea coming out for Cloud9. I'm a little bit worrisome if that was land jitters or what. Usually I'm not on the desk or casting talking about Cloud9 being so uncoordinated, but that's exactly what we saw here, right? That pounce, that split coming through for A. Double doors had so much contact for so long before A main even reacted.
Yeah.
And that sort of disconnect is definitely not what you want to see if you're a Cloud9 fan.
And confidence continues to reign here for Mimi. Hyping up the team as they take the lead by 4 on this map of Breeze. Petra into this, looking to drone out towards that B main, while C9 on the other end will be working with the hero rifle for Katsumi and holding it very passively towards the spawn to try to backpedal towards B.
Yeah, I think Cloud9 really are expecting G2 to inch forward a little bit too deep and try to get that punish going. Giuliano certainly testing her luck, and at this point, G2, they're pretty satisfied. They've got a lot of map control. Mimi, oh, that's overzealous.
Gun lost. Now picked up here for Bob, and they have a pit from that too. So that will potentially allow for a heavier hit and a pit to come out and a plant. There's that wall coming out from Bob. Meanwhile, Mel with the lurk. Spotted at the bottom here, a 1 versus 1 against Giuliano. Meanwhile, though, the pit opens up. Mel has lost her life, but at least has slowed things down and gave the information for C9 that a flank will be coming very soon. Katsumi at bricks. 3 players now holding inside the pit, and the first contact comes from between pyramids, and that's Petra with the wall bang headshot. Alexis trying to answer back, but they're just playing the time. Beautiful recon dart that allows Glance to get the kill. The numbers continue to dwindle down, and Bob is looking for the clutch. At least that's a first. Couldn't spray onto the second one. And G2 will get the defuse to move up at 10.
And again, G2 really leaning into those win conditions. That's exactly what you want to see. Giuliano, she just made her home that mid, that entire round. And even though Mel almost caught and punished, it's Giuliano. She's cooling in. She's having fun, Vans. She's just fragging out here.
That's a crazy part. Giuliano's doing a great job here on these aggressive fights. Every time it comes down to these great opportunities, yeah, she's going to lose a teammate in the process, but it's always going to be good to not only avenge her teammates, but do more than that to allow G2 to continue this lead. But finally, at least for C9, they have a rifle round to move into.
Yeah, I'm surprised not to see a pause here. Mel and the coach must have a really solid idea of what the answer is coming into this one. I'd like to see them go back towards this A, not shy away from that hit. Again, it was just uncoordinated and a little bit unlucky, but G2, they're giving up this entire B site. A lot of focus towards mid with Giuliano again.
And a dash, spike up on the back of Jazzikins with the tap on that fake. And that split the aggression that was intended for G2 towards the elbow.
Does Jazzy know she has the spike?
She did tap it, so I would assume that they do. So they're waiting for the utility to clear out from the snake bites coming out on the defense. And potentially the wall to come back up once again. Bob now spawning the first contact, at least from the window, and Mel fights back against Giuliano.
Oh, wow.
That's an important kill to have. Bob with one onto Mary, but it's still going to be G2 rolling in here towards that wall. But look at that, we slipped through. It's the QB sneak. We've made it towards the A site, and to cut rotations is going to be Alexis, but she loses the fight.
She does lose the fight. Jazzykin, she's going to be able to make it down, but look, Mimi, she's already sniffed it out. Too much time has passed, and this spike, G2 are wondering what the heck is going on. How has it not been planted? Katsumi, the comms are coming through. Cloud9 White, they want to regroup once more. Make this a 2v2. They don't want to be that split up.
They're okay to give up this B site for G2. Petro just hyper-focused into the top of Nest, while Mimi has rotated towards the A side, so this is going to make things very difficult. The thing that's difficult for C9, though, is they have no idea where the rotation is going to be coming from. This is a great opportunity for Petra to get kills here off the pulse plant. And she spots the first one. Elisa spikes planet for C9. Rotation then comes back out from Mimi from the spawn. She does have utility to work with, has a 0 point, and the recon dart also just came out. Both of them spotting nobody towards the arches, and Petra gets a beautiful shot there onto Katsumi. Jazzykin needs this clutch. She gets pinged out, and it's going to be G2 with the round.
What a read. What movement coming through here for G2. And you saw, G2 are playing S-tier Valorant right now. You can see it with their immediate reactions, right? We talked about Jazzykin's making it towards A, Mimi immediately reacting in the server. Those kinds of fast reactions is exactly what you need to be able to have that sort of edge in the server. But Cloud9, I wonder what happened. How? The spike, it didn't go down, Vance.
Yeah, you're right, because you're mentioning it. Hey, does Jazzykin know that she has a spike? I know that she tapped it. We saw it on the screen and she looks to clear it back. I don't know if there's one of those moments where you're trying to get the wall back up and then, okay, let's try to plant after that. You saw that they were wasting out the utility from G2, but I just feel that maybe there was just too much contact from G2 towards B main that it just flustered C9 on the rest of the pulse plant, or at least try to get the plant into the B site.
Yeah, certainly so. Good timeout coming out here for Cloud9 White. If you're G2, you're just talking about what are the win conditions here for Cloud9? What are they coming into
and what are
this
they?
Next round? It's the Sky Ultimate, right? We've got the Sky Ultimate coming online right now. Alexis on this role hasn't been quite as impactful as we've seen on map 1 and 2 in the earlier series, but Sky, that information, it should allow you to start making some proactive moves. You know, Jazzykin's on this Jet, a little bit more quiet than we're used to on the role of Jet. And you know, Jet thrives with information. You're able to make those proactive, aggressive plays that we're seeing Giuliano do time and time again.
Yeah, and even on the aggressive plays, the idea that Giuliano and Mary had earlier on to double push towards the elbow, and Mary being first contact. If she gets spotted, TP's away, Giuliano comes in for the kill if they can. We got to be wary for that for C9 after this timeout. But G2 continuing to show that they're strong on this map, that this map literally is a breeze for them.
It certainly has started as such. Mimi holding on to this knife. I like this lineup as well, Vans. It's completely unbreakable, and it gets really deep into the halls. That information, 3 members on the board there for G2.
And that's just going to allow Glance to be ready inside the pit, the Trailblazer to spot her, but no concuss, no sprays. G2 still holding the ground while C9 decides to rotate back towards this mid and B.
Yeah, now the Sky Ultimate is very strong versus a Viper ult, but we can see that Cloud9, they don't really want to mess with it. They're leaving Glance's area of the map, and they want to regroup and try to make this B split happen.
Got your trail.
There it is, the ultimate online.
This is good. That would allow for C9 to flood into the site to fight the 2 members of G2 inside B. But G2 avoids all of that. We cancel out the push from C9 because of it.
Good defense, solid defense here for G2. Definitely holding C9 back at bay, but they're going to go once more. A double pump coming through here for C9.
30 seconds left.
That's Giuliano just around the ladder, and unfortunately, Mal somehow snuck through, and also Giuliano wasn't ready for that. B side now open. C9 easy plant. And of course, this time Jazzykin definitely knows she has a spike. Just got it planted.
Yeah, exactly. And this post should be easy breezy for Cloud9. Bob has such good positioning, but she gets laid out by Mimi. 3 versus 4.
Null Command also available for Mimi that could actually cancel a lot of the utility for C9 on the pulse plant. Will it be used? Potentially off a first contact kill, but that's a nice combination of Flashlight and Jazzikins to swing out and get the headshot. And no Null Command to come out. Glance answers back for 2 though. Only she is left on his 2 versus 1. Spike is still taken down, looking to win this battle against Mel. And a 1 versus 1. And Katsumi at least finally stops the bleeding on what would have been a great attempt by Glance.
NT indeed for Glance. Such high cerebral moves, immediately dropping the wall to cut off that line of sight. But instead of going for the tap, she goes to finish off Mel. Just ice in her veins. Nice maneuvers coming through here for Glance. And those kinds of individual moves, I mean, that's really what's settling the debate here so far in map 2. They've been winning out on these individual duels.
I want to mention on those kills that Glance was able to get, that the round, despite it going in favor here of C9, that they're actually buying into this round, that if they lose, they're not going to have too much to work with. Very important now for C9 to capitalize onto a round with getting a lot of players alive. If not G2, they win this map for sure.
Everything invested in Bob. Looking to get a lot of ground. Oh, the timing for Petra. It's a lot of information. Bob is not slowing down. Really aggressive stuff. Bob feeling like she needed to make that frag happen, but she just gets taken out. And now Cloud9 are in a pickle here, Vans. No smokes on the table. When your Viper goes down first, it can get really tricky.
Yeah, and that's the experience of Petra as well. Myrna talked about the sound here on land. Petra just decides to fall back with the angle to get that kill. And Glance, meanwhile, got another one into the round. That is going to be another fall towards the caves. So we just have to try to push in and go for picks. But look at the positioning from G2. They're just so good right now. The control now, even the map on defense. Only 1 left to go. And like I said, the economy's so low for Alexis. You just have to try to survive for the next 35 seconds. Can you do it? Everybody's closing in on you. And Petra is just waiting there on the top of Nest. The contact for the first kill, but that allows the swing to put G2 at map point.
You love to see those, once again, crossfires coming through strong. Of course, it's a cherry on top when you're able to get clean frags and that headshot percentage coming through the roof. But the crossfires, again, Giuliano and Mimi, just ping-ponging off of each other's contact towards those mid-doors. It's just beautiful, simple Valorant coming out here for G2. And this is it, Vans. You mentioned it, the money, a little broke. Jazzikins does have those knives, and this is the round that C9 need those knives to be a hero.
All the eggs into a basket, and that's going to be to head towards this B site. It's going to be quick, but it's still going to be Petra. First blood into the round. Woo! And Petra's not going to get out of anybody's way. Finally, Katsumi and Bob, they fight back, but still at a disadvantage for C9. Null Command already comes out, so there's not going to be any Hunter's Fury. So as they're pushing through, Giuliano gets the first. Bob looking for the clutch to save the round at least for C9 to stay alive into this. The 3rd kill into the round, 10 HP left. And the Viper's pit available, trying to get the kill, but it's still gonna be Glance. Redemption comes in as G2 brings this to a 3rd map.
What a closer, what a round. Again, it's for Glance, no other than Glance. And it seems like, it feels like for G2, it was Glance or Giuliano to just completely solidify the end of these rounds time and time again, especially in the second half.
So now we look at this. We've tied things up 1-1, and one of those games where like, oh, it's gonna be an amazing series. It's gonna be super close. We've seen a 6-6 on Ascent. We now see a 7-5 on Breeze. But then when it comes down to the second half, whoever's map pick it was just pure domination. And that domination translated with Giuliano.
Yeah, and you know, this brings the question, a lot of what ifs. You know, this time around, G2 secured both pistols. There was no funky shenanigans with those anti-eco rounds, you know. Ascent was a little bit wishy-washy, so all of a sudden you're able to satisfy those check marks and you get a clean victory here on Breeze.
And now it seems as though there was no answer as well for C9 on the attack. They look really good on the defense with the double op setup. And yeah, you always gotta love how Mimi's been having fun here, and that LAN experience rings again for this G2 roster. Always coming from, or not always, but being comfortable to come back from a deficit and be dominant on that second map. I'm looking forward for this third map because that's another big question mark. Another one that we need an answer for. What does C9 look like on Pearl?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a little worrisome, especially because we started seeing Cloud9 faltering a little bit, and it's something I've never said before all the times that I've watched these players play. We're always talking about how fearless they look, how fluid they look, but they looked a little bit shook, I gotta say, in that second half.
Well, usually, if you're looking at a map like Pearl, Giuliano has been really good on that map. And if she continues that performance on Breeze into that map, I'm scared for C9. Let's see what's going to happen, though, after we see what happens in this series and after the break.
Me, I can't remember. I've been dreaming for way too long. Oh, so it goes again.
What a response from G2 goes, and they even things up on Breeze against Cloud9 White. I'm Yingsu, I'm back here with Athena and Ender. You guys both said if they were going to take down Cloud9 White on any map, it was gonna be this one. And Ender, they did it very successfully.
Oh yeah, look, this is a map, again, where it opens up so much individual playmaking, right? And it's no better exhibited than in Giuliano absolutely popping off on the Reyna. I think it was absolutely the right idea, and her being able to find so many of the opening picks, as well as actually really effective Lear usage, was a big factor, especially in their first half.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch up on that Lear usage, like Giuliano was using it perfectly. You know, after they had their timeout, she started using it on that attack side to push off the Opper. And as you can see here, it started working out in their favor. Giuliano kind of going crazy, getting those kills. She started taking the aim duels. That's what they really needed coming into this match.
Yeah, I mean, the Lear buffs, I think, are actually so meaningful, especially against Oppers, right? Because now all of a sudden, your Lear actually affects Oppers. Crazy, right? And if you have like a solo op player like a Jen or Chamber often like to do, like you have to be the one to actually break that Lear. Also, the Lears out of hall doors were really effective. They used it as a fake one time behind their own Viper wall when C9 actually didn't have any players on site and rotated everyone over to B. So it was really, really clever. And honestly, the best Reyna usage I have ever seen on Breeze. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, she was even followed up with KO a lot of the the time with like flashes on Lear on flashes. Like I think that they played it out really, really well. They really used their comp to their advantage, and I think that they knew coming into this to expect the double op comp. And then once we actually went onto that defense side for G2, we saw them kind of abuse that, hey, they can't double op anymore, so we kind of have the advantage here. And I think KO versus Sky is something that we were talking about earlier, and that also is kind of just a meta thing for me that I think KO just came out on top.
I mean, let's take a look at some of the things that Giuliano was doing, because Reina does still feel like a bit of a controversial pick, but I've always said this in EMEA. Reina on just like a regular play is not the same ender as Reina on Giuliano.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a whole lot of options here, whether it's the pistol rounds everyone talks about, you can get the overheals, as well as, again, like, I think it is such a big difference, the Lear out of halls compared to a KO flash, because we actually saw in this game, like, KO flash out of halls, and C9 player ducked away from it and got some kills. But when the Lear was out there, no one on C9 could actually deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it come into like loads and loads of clutch plays. We even saw that Giuliano started getting space and making space for her team, even though she doesn't have any movement abilities. And I think that is why Giuliano is such a strong player on that Reina.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I feel like we had to highlight Giuliano is because she did play Reina earlier. It wasn't the best. I think just the earlier matches she had, maybe it was a warm-up. She didn't really show us the Giuliano we knew. But going on to Pearl, the reason why her having a great performance on Breeze, Athena, is so important is because her Pearl Reina is something I feel like got everybody talking when she whipped it out.
Yeah, I mean, G2's Pearl has been known to be kind of a namesake for them, like it's their home territory. So I was actually really surprised when C9 let Pearl through, like you said earlier. But yeah, I mean, Reina on Pearl, getting those picks, trying to break Lears, it's something that's really, really hard to do, especially on such a long map.
Yeah, 100%. If you actually went back and like watched when they first brought it out against Guild in the upper semis, I think, or the upper finals, then they played them again. Like almost every single round on the attacking side was decided by Giuliano walking towards double doors. You get an Astra Star sort of halfway down through. She breaks the chamber trip, and then Guild just freaked out. They're like, is she pushing connector? Is she pushing through the smoke? Did she just leave? Well, yes to all three. She was doing it all. She was really mixing it up in between. So that one play is something that C9 know is coming and need to be ready for.
But again, maybe we don't see the Reina because it's G2 and they know that everybody watches them, who knows. But more importantly, and I feel like we do something fun because we don't usually get to theorize what a team is going to play on a map they've never played before. C9Y, 0 times we've seen them on Pearl, and this is going to be their debut on the map. What would you guys like to see, and what do you think they're going to bring out here? I'll start with you.
Yeah, for me, I have to see Bob on Fade. Like, I have to. Fade is so, so important on Pearl, especially getting that art control, getting the double doors control, and getting the information. Like, it's so important. And Bob has just been, like, constantly popping off on these initiator roles. I mean, we even saw her pop off on Viper, to be fair. Like, I think she just pops off no matter what. But on Fade, it's so, so important. I think with the dog, you can be way, way more aggressive, playing those tight angles and just kind of getting the perfect space for your team. So personally, I have to see that. I'm going to be upset if she doesn't pick it.
I'm totally on board with you because also I think it lets you take a little bit more aggressive or a little more risks like on the attacking side, right? Sort of reflanking into mid, that sort of stuff. But I want Mel to be a based Cypher enjoyer on this map. Forget the easy breakable chamber trip. I want to see some wires and I want to see it right here.
I mean, all day when we come to the Prime Gaming Asian Select, we've been looking at the side of G2 because they're making changes. But here, I want to make sure you guys look at what Cloud9 are going to bring to the table. Again, they have never played this map before, and it looks like Jazzy is going to start by locking in the Neon.
That's how you see it. Look, I'm totally on board with the Neon here. I think it's so good at helping you scale down B long.
What is happening? What am I seeing?
Wait, G2 are so selfish. I'm like, don't look at them, and this is what they do.
Yeah, that is in fact a Yoru here.
Lothar is probably having the time of his life right now.
The really strange thing about this Yoru, though, for me, is it doesn't feel like there's a ton of setup backing it up. Like, there's talking about, like, the Yoru breach, Yoru, like, and whatnot, like, other setup to get you in with the more aggressive teleports you're instantly playing, but they don't have a lot of that going.
That is actually, like, a really good point, because Yoru is their only flashes. Like, there is no setup behind it, but C9 doesn't have any flashes at all. So I have no idea how this is going to play out, but I think it's honestly G2 favorite. I hate to say this, but just comp-wise.
Well, this series just continues to get better and better and better. Vans and Potter, I can't wait to see what you guys make of this Asian select.
Once again, even I don't know. Nothing but good surprise. At least a good series, right? We had no idea what C9 was going to do on Pearl. This looks a little bit more standard. But we got to talk about this Euro here.
I'm concerned. I gotta say I'm concerned. My immediate reaction was, okay, Yoru now next should be the breach, right? Because Yoru is one of those agents where alone a little bit weak, but in tandem with that fault line off of Breach's back can do some really fun stuff. So we'll see what G2 have lined up. I mean, the Reyna game plan on Breeze was absolutely spectacular. So I'm expecting something crazy coming out here for Giuliano.
Yeah. You remember G2, how good Giuliano has been with that Reyna on that map on Pearl. It was a lot of that mid control. Is it going to be the same thing now with the Euro as well, especially if we don't have that breach for support for the long sights to get in? So we'll see what happens. We're already starting the pistol round, third and final map of this series to see which team is going down to the lower brackets. Is it C9 or G2? And we're about to find out with G2 on the attack.
Nothing but a trip stopping G2 from completely taking over this site. Look at how grouped Cloud9 are already on the movement for the flank, but this Sage wall is so huge. G2 are going to be able to get the spike down easy.
That's also going to make it very difficult for C9 to overtake the site from the Staircase of Art. And yes, that's what's going on. That is exactly what's going on.
Yeah, the Yoru TP, Giuliano finding her time to make this flank happen. G2 Mary, she's making sure that the timing is going to come through, but the dash, the slide coming out for Cloud9.
Jig is up though. Here comes the flank from Giuliano. Takes down Mel and the fight comes in towards the staircase. Katsuma with the right clicks onto Mimi for the Sage dip. We're starting on to the defuse, but it's G2 all over the scoreboard with Glance on the last kill and G2 with another pistol.
So many layers coming into this pistol round from both squads, right? I mean, we saw Cloud9, all four members super grouped together in that mid. They didn't want to defend the sites. They just wanted to make that retake, pre-take happen ASAP. But Giuliano, man, from the start, you could see that the entire game plan was to allow her to use that TP, make it, and make that flank work. Such clever plays coming through right off the gate here on pistol.
And thankfully, that's done at the pistol round for if you're a C9 White fan, because now it's going to be, okay, well, at least we know there's going to be these wacky TPs coming out from Giuliano, who sets one up at the beginning just on the other side of control. So you try to go here for some early pillar focus with Mel on the top. Force a TP away.
Nothing but pistols on the side of Cloud9. This should be an easy plant, but we say these things all the time, guys. And then all of a sudden, the caster curse comes through. But this is looking like business as usual. Sage wall should protect Mimi. And for Cloud9, if they're able to do some damage, maybe get some ultimate points on the board on this anti-eco, it would be huge, setting themselves up.
Yeah, but the positioning here from G2 is just looking
cleanup.
too good, exactly. Clean up on aisle 4. I should have said clean up on aisle 9. What a big miss. That said, though, Petra gets the last kill there into the round. That's G2 with 2.
And it's good to see that G2 are playing to their strengths, even on these anti-ecos. Not getting overzealous. We saw a little bit of that in maps 1 and 2. Oh, this is it, map 3. Full purchase coming on the board for Cloud9. And, you know, we talked about the fact that they seem to be slowing down just a little bit. That sort of coordination and teamwork that we always commend this Cloud9 squad for was slowing down in that second half of map 2. So on this first gun round, absolutely looking for decisive plays across the board for all 10 players.
Yeah, as you mentioned, C9 White.
Oh, my!
Okay, it's going to be Bob opening things up with the headshot. Not only that, a dink onto Mary, and thankfully Mimi's there for the heal. But there's pressure going in towards Art. Flashes to push Jazzikins away. But this is still not going to allow G2 to get any early map control after that beautiful shot to open things up.
And Petra still holding her ground. She wants to try to avenge Glance's death if she can. Bob, beautiful shot. And that smoke is just going to hold G2 off at bay. and Jazzykins to clean up as well. Petra tried, you know, she tried to be as patient as she can, but she gets taken out, and all of a sudden it's just Giuliano and Mimi. No TP on the map here for Giuliano. She does have the spike on her back, and she's gonna leave her teammate in Mimi and try to make something happen. It's just Mel across the map here. Oh.
Mimi spotted on the top of the staircase. And that allows all 4 players of C9 just to stick around that site. So it's going to be a 1v1 potentially towards the back end, where Giuliano's currently going and Mel's on that rotate too. So who's going to get the better timing right now? 20 seconds left on the clock. Only a Vandal available. And if you're looking at this radar, it seems to be the advantage coming in for Mel. And there you go, the execution. A prime giving flawless for C9, and that's how you want to start things off on your first gun round.
Exactly, so make sure that things don't get out of hand coming into this bonus, especially since the pistol just kind of slipped out of your grasp. If you're Cloud9, you are satisfied. And for G2, Petra, she's looking like she wants to have fun in tandem with Giuliano. 2 ultimates, just 1 point away from each. You can do some really funky things with this Yoru ultimate and Fade ultimate together. So, you know, maybe that is the win condition. You know, the breach fault line doesn't need to be there. Petra and Yoru, we'll see.
Well, we still need another ult orb or a kill for Giuliano to see if that plan is going to come into fruition. A little bit of damage from both ends of the chambers, but Mel comes out a little bit more damaged.
Very slow start for G2. Mary just making sure there's no funny business on the B main side. And yeah, there's a lot of decisions to make. Do you shoot it? Do you not? Katsumi's like, wait a minute.
Well, it disappeared, so at least we know that was a decoy. But the decoy was good to break that trip, and Katsumi runs back out. And that's a heavy duel to win for C9. But Petra looks to answer back.
Oh,
Hot
Petra.
now available. Yeah, she slipped through. And looking for the time against the stage. There's a headshot running in. A counter out from Jazzykins. Relabeled onto the ground. Low HP as we dance inside the smoke. Petra then dissipates after that duel. A 4 versus 3. At least G2 has taken control towards this B site, and they'll get a plant, and they have a lurk.
Yeah, with all those distractions happening, G2 were able to get this ground. Mary finding so much space. Oh, and the timing, she just turns away. Jazzy's able to punish.
We're waiting for that timing from Glance. Instant kill onto Jazzykins, so we know there's that lurk towards spawn. Last 2 players coming in from B-Link of C9, and we know also that the Sage planted, but don't know where she retreated. Glance on top of heaven! And that's 2 quick kills from G2. Continuing with the crossfiles, but this time watching her angles on the pulse plant, and it works out.
Exactly, and Mimi's also going to go ahead and invest her ultimate into this one. Make sure that that economy stays high for G2, and that was beautiful. I mean, it was towards this B site once again. These post plants are so tough if you're defending and you're coming for the retake. There's just so many crevices and corners. You've got to check left, then you got to check deeper left. There's a lot of corners that you've got to retake if you're the defenders towards that B.
At least the positive aspect for C9 is understanding that G2 in the past on that previous comp, as I mentioned before, likes to work on that mid. They did a great job to hold that with Jazzykins and Katsumi. But the Exterminators are still being pushed very confidently and with lots of success for G2. We want to try to fight back onto that by working towards the A orb. And here comes the dimensional drift from Giuliano. The flashes for the team to follow behind. And now she's been back at the site. Nightfall to come out too.
Oh, wow.
And she TPs towards B, my god.
It's all a fake. Giuliano single-handedly with Petra are able to just sell the fake completely. Cloud9, they've all rotated. It's a free plant for G2. And we've been talking about these posts and how difficult they've been. 5 versus 5. We've got some utility on the board to make this happen, but this is going to be so tough.
Yeah, especially Mel with an operator, and because it took so long to rotate into this map, there's not much time to work left. So you have to act quickly for C9, and that might be an opportunity for G2 to catch C9 on a slip-up for this retake. Jazzykin is looking to be the first point of contact. Spots one, goes out with the overdrive, but overheats, and then it's going to be G2 just, once again, all over the board. But Bob answers back for a bit. Only Alexis and Bob. But this is looking to be one of those situations where It's not going to happen for C9, no matter what. You can't even save your weapons, and G2 are just winning round after round confidently.
Glance, such a superstar in the server. I gotta give love to the controllers out there. You know, you don't get every opportunity like those duelists do all the time. So, but Glance has just been so just impressive in that server. Anytime action comes her way, she's making those optimal decisions. High percentage plays, able to clutch round after round. And G2, what a creative play coming through. That was just off the back of Juliano going in, having fun with the petrol utility, that fade utility.
Also,
Cloud9 bit so hard.
Exactly, especially with the Nightfall too, so it seems as though there's just going to be a lot of utility being dealt. And those fakes, another one of those moments where C9 should eventually call a timeout soon to just try to adapt a little bit more, try to think, but so far, every single round, Christine, it's been like a new trick up the sleeve for G2. So how the hell do you adapt to this faster than usual? Yeah.
They're throwing curveball after curveball after curveball. You love to see it as well coming through. I mean, they've been spending some time making up all these plays across the board. What a treat this is. I was not expecting the Yoru to have so much impact so far. We're only in round 6.
It's looking to be another round coming in here for G2 with Alexis just trying to bait some noise, trying to at least find some silver lining, and it's not going to happen. Lots of utility once again, and that's one of those things. Not only that, you're looking at the pulse plans, Christine. They still have so much utility to work with for G2. It's like one of those moments where you're playing rat games and you're like, I can't even play the game.
Absolutely, and take a look at the money even on the side of G2. You know, we've been talking about maps this whole series, really. Every round has kind of been balling on a budget, but this time around G2, they can make some pretty big purchases and even have extras left over. So everything going well for G2 in their game plan, and you can see the watch party still going strong. So hyped for Mary.
Well, there you go. There's that timeout that we said that we needed, because on that last one, it was an eco round, already having some chance to discuss things first. Now you're calling the full timeout. How do you adapt to all this? What can you work on? And it seems as though, yes, we had success on that mid, but those extremities, how do you stop Juliano? Do you have to now, at this point, Christine, leave somebody back in B site? Because this seems to be where the gate crashes are going.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you've got to be able to deal with the Yoru, right? We've just seen, as you say, too many times now where that gate crash is having too much impact, I'd say, right? And if they're able to have that sort of util, or rather info, to not bite so hard on these fakes, then we could potentially see some sort of a defense. But so far, from every single round, Cloud9 haven't really even been able to play at all.
Yeah. They tried to fight a little bit towards that A main, but if not, mid control has been slightly passive, and also B has been passive from Mel. I wonder if at this point, if it's going to be a Yoru faking and TPing away, should you gain more control on that mid, where we don't see too much of G2 if it's not for like that mid round.
Yeah, that definitely could be interesting, especially considering how the pistol round went, and I believe round 4 went, right? We saw a lot of grouping coming out for Cloud9, and they went re-aggressing towards that mid.
Yeah.
And although they lost, it at least set them up for that fast retake.
Correct.
So definitely such a good point. Be proactive and look for better duels, because so far everything has been in the control for G2. Every single decision has been on G2's terms.
Yeah. It's still going to be hard to get across those lines, across the finish lines of those doors at the B-Link or at Art, just because you don't have any, for example, KO that goes for a flash on the top for them to try to get a lot more value off like Jazzikin's dashing out or something like that too. So, I mean, at this point, there's going to have to be, well, I was going to say there's going to have to be a lot, but I'm assuming at this point, you can't really chat anymore. So we're going to have to see what happens.
We will have to see what happens. We had a little bit of a tech delay, but we're right back into it, and a healthy purchase coming through. We've got Bob with an ultimate coming online, and again, aggression. You talked about it. Mel, she's going to take the duel. She doesn't want this Yoru shenanigans to happen, and it's chamber versus chamber. Oh, she's so blind.
Well, it was going to be a chamber versus chamber, but when a blindside comes out from the Yoru, just retreat. Reposition yourself. but also here's the advantage potentially of the reposition from Mel. Now towards an area where she could actually aim down the sights and look under to the cross into B. There's no Viper wall that's going to be able to block her line of sight, but the utility from Glance could be important.
Huge, huge opening pick for Katsumi. Just finding the best timing she could have ever asked for. Mary decides to take that time, find something else. The res does come through, but oh no!
No. Instant spam onto the wall, dropping Mel for the second kill, but that opens up once again at least the A site. Cosmic Divide will allow G2 to move in. Petra also come in for the plant, and a late lurk now from Mary up towards Art. All of C9 White at least has rotated where they can actually come in with a bloodbath. The haunt to come out first from Art. That's going to be Alexis throwing it down at the A-Link. And the other two moving up towards this pit.
And Bob, Alexis is being really patient, waiting for this lurk to come through for Mary, but if she's got to go. The time is ticking away. She can't afford to just wait as long as she would have liked.
Yeah.
Giuliano's playing this so well.
And especially when Glad still has 2 stars to work with. So they bait out the gravity well. Petra goes for the kill. Unlike for Jazikid to lose that duel, but it's looking really good for G2 to be able to win this round, and they will do so, even wasting out the Nightfall from Alexis.
And I apologize, that was Mary. Of course it was Mary that was playing that round so well, so disciplined. And you know, we talk about it not being overzealous, having all the information and playing those high percentage rounds. That's exactly what Mary did. These post plants are looking a little too easy for G2, I gotta say.
And yeah, I agree with you. And at the same time, when G2 gets into the site, it's almost into no opposition really coming out from Cloud9 White, right, Christine? They're just doing a great job for all these fakes, bumping C9 over to a rotate, and getting that plant on the other end.
And it's certainly not for a lack of trying. Cloud9 White once again trying their hand at this B main control of some sort, and that's just a clone.
Don't want to risk it. But we have a forward position from the Stool de Fosse from Mel. Waiting for the first contact, easy first kill onto Mary, and will TP away. And once again, she's anchoring herself.
Yeah, and the Yoru TP is going back over towards that B main. You can see that this time around, Cloud9, they don't want to deal with it, but they've got a bit of the wrong read.
Yeah.
G2, the conditioning that they've been putting on this entire first half is paying off hugely. It's only Mel towards this site all alone. G2, this should be an easy plant.
Yeah, and they broke the TP right away, which then potentially will just put G2 into the A site, and the TP goes into mid instead with the second one. The headshot onto Mel, and Giuliano's just playing around the map.
Yoru finding so much value coming into these rounds. Cloud9, 4v4. They don't have much utility, they don't have much weaponry, and Giuliano wants more.
And she'll get it. Only for an extra one. But it's still going to be G2 on the pulse plan. Forward positions, not too much that Bob could do. She's looking to see if she could pick up Giuliano's weapon. It's not going to work out. Mimi swings out, and that is now going to be 7-1.
That's tough.
Not as close as the first 2 maps.
Certainly not. Certainly not the start that you want if you're on the side of Cloud9. G2, they can't be stopped. It doesn't seem like they're making any mistakes at this point. And it's, again, it's not for a lack of trying. When we're looking on the Cloud9 White side of things, they're consistently being proactive. They're going across the map looking for these duels. But G2, they're just in the right place at the right time. Even the last round, Mel opened the round with an opening onto the side of, I believe it was Mary? And they still are unable to recover.
They want to continue to fight forward on the top of the pillar, and this time they break the decoy and continue to spray through to get 3 kills for C9. Being able to fall back. G2 now stuck on the top of control. Mimi still away, far as away from being able to get a res out to at least give a little bit of a hope for G2 into this round.
Now, this is the first time we're seeing G2 at a numbers disadvantage. It will be very interesting to see how Mimi plays this off. 2 points away from the ultimate res. Things can get...
One enemy remaining.
Oh, never mind.
No dicey situations at all. But yeah, you got to get it for C9. we want to try to work up towards the B halls a little bit more. We got soul orbs to work with to make sure that we're not really pushing out around that corner for G2. But that was one of those moments for seeing where it was just like, okay, whoever wins the duel, and that was going to be the round for them. And that time, it was C9.
This is so tough. Such a tough game right now if you're Cloud9 White. Juliano once again on this Yoru. The ultimate, it's online. And the last time around, she went towards that A and faked completely on her own with that fade. We'll see what Juliano's plan is. Cloud9, again, contesting this B main.
Who's next?
Here comes the dimensional drift. Yoru moving forward into this B site. But I don't see a TP moving forward. Well, it's to fall back, actually, to play the pulse plant. The rest here of G2 falling right behind a decoy once again that allows Jazzikins to get blinded, or at least break the crosshair placement. And G2, what an entry into the site for B.
Spike planted.
Spike will go down. Bob finds herself in a forward position, is good for it. Mimi gets taken out. All of a sudden, 3v3.
Ooh, but we converted towards the left side or right side of the back halls. A 1-for-1, and Petra leaning back out towards Pillar. Now setting up a crossfire where the spike is planted directly for them. Alexis and Mel, off shot missed.
Wow.
Only one more to go, and it's going to be Mel picking up the Elder Flame Vandal. Looking to bite back here into the back halls, but Petra stings out for the kill. And that's G2, 8-2, with such a dominating attack half.
What an incredible round. And the best part of it was that you included the fact that it was an Elder Flame Vandal in that. I mean, listen, if you're going to win and dominate NA's best in Cloud9 White, you got to do it in style.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I love the fact that she was able to do that with the Elder Flame. And again, Juliano finding another entry off the back of that Yoru kit. So much value, so much impact coming through here for G2. And again, I gotta say it, Juliano.
Yep. At this point, there you go, that mid control, trying to do a little bit more. It was the overdrive to try to take control of Plaza. That just got stopped right away.
Petra feeling pretty confident, pretty comfortable in this area. Both of her teammates ready to just pounce and react off any sort of contact. And Cloud9, 3 members. These are the kinds of plays that Cloud9 attempted on, I believe, the first round and round 4. They weren't successful, but timing is everything, and Glance does get taken out.
We'll take those for C9 for sure, but 2 of them are heavily damaged. Things are still looking good for G2 to continue to work around the map. A minute left onto the clock as Mary's looking to open up towards this B site. More passive plays from C9. Mel just winning the back of screens.
Exactly, and you can see that G2 are slowing it down because Mimi wants to get this res off on her teammate, allowing her teammates to get a little bit more control before that actually goes down. And I like this adjustment, right? G2 have been very aggressive and in Cloud9's face, but this time around, with their win conditions being this res, they've slowed it entirely down. They're just defaulting.
Yep.
If one of their players gets picked off, all good. They're just going to maintain this control, get the res off, and re-exec.
Walked across the map, playing that contact, seeing that the site is clear. Petra looking to look at least at the dugout, and there's not going to be anybody there. Wall to block off towards the spawn. Plant is now coming in. There's not too much utility or even weaponry to work with for Cloud9 White.
Another flank. Another flank. Bob this time. She sniffed it out. And the retake, it's in action.
Is going to be one down there from that kill from Bob. Cosmic Divide then coming out from the defense. So Petra crossfire with Mimi. Here comes the swing out from Church. And they're praying for these kills. A res to come out. A 2 versus 2. Kasumi on low HP. The headshot onto Mary. A 1v1, but it's not going to happen.
Wow.
Glance stays around for G2. 9-2 into the half.
Incredible. And you saw Katsumi really trying her damnedest to win that round, completely baiting her teammate with that res, as she should, to try to take over the round into her own hands. But again, the post plants for G2, they can make no mistakes. They can do no wrong. Every corner is covered if you're G2 right now in those sites.
Oh, yeah. And even look at it from that wall, it seems as though there was a little gap there, too. And we don't really care for G2. We play inside that. C9 White, the first time that we see this lineup now on Pearl. Definitely shows that, you know what, not many players, not many teams play against a Yoru, and you can't really adapt so far, and you don't have that many rounds here in Valorant to be able to try to come back. That said, C9 looking to battle towards this B side as a Cosmic Divide comes out on the attack. And this time it seems that G2 is also committed to move forward.
Double operator for Cloud9 and op on the back of Jazzy. No ultimate either. This retake is going to be so difficult. G2 once again in those power positions in this post.
That's a double push into the back halls. Nightfall available here for Petra. And it comes out. Jazzican though still lends the shot. Katsumi as well. As we're now slowly closing back into the control of the B side for Cloud9. The flank now spotted as Bob and Alexis are just trying to hold it down, but it's going to be Mimi instead. The tides have turned now for G2, make that even for C9. Can Giuliano save the round? It's a 1v1. Bob looking to get the defuse. It's a halfway. The spray comes out. We're sticking it. Bob does not care. Bob will get the defuse, and C9 will salvage the round.
What patience coming through for Alexis. The fact that she didn't go too fast there allowed Bob to stick it in that 2v1. Finally, Cloud9 are able to convert. But I gotta say, Vans, those are worrying signs. If towards the end of this round, you're busting out a double operator on the back of Neon, that means you're running out of answers, and that's got me worried here.
I want to know, Christine, what will be the answers now going to the second half if you have C9 on the attack?
I mean, you just let Yoru have a lot more fun, right? It seems like that's been the game plan for G2, and it's working.
Well, at least the desk had time to digest on this Yoru from Giuliano, so let's see what they have to say.
What a half there for G2 goes. And I mean, when the Yoru got locked in, I think we had some doubts here and there, but I heard during that game, when we were watching it, and you've been converted. You're a believer now.
I am. Look, at the start, I was like, okay, no like Bleach, no like heavy setup for the Yoru. I don't love that because you can't full execute on his sights, but no. Giuliano was doing it all on her own, from the ults to sort of clear full space for her teammates, just like the short-range TP is clearing down and getting to the opposite side of B long. It gave so many unique options that I don't think C9 were ready for at all. And I wanted to look at one round where they do this ultimate fake out onto C9. They did this huge attempt with Giuliano ulting into this A site. But there's a TP ready to go on the opposite side. Here's that quick little teleport that we saw early on. But you can see, like, they just absolutely powered through on towards that A site and had a lot of clever usage throughout the game.
Yeah, I think this is a slightly different round, but it's fine. We've seen, like, a lot of really, really cool things Giuliano has been up to. What have you made of the Yoru?
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely been the playmaker. She's not getting as many frags as like Petra, for example, but she's definitely making the plays and completely keeping C9 on their feet. I mean, they just look so comfortable with this comp. They look so comfortable on Pearl in general, so I think it's just working out.
Well, let's talk about C9 Wise comp, because if we look at this, what do they need to do, Athena, to get back into the game?
Yeah, I mean, I touched up on this a little bit earlier during Agent Select, but they actually don't have any flashes. So that kind of means that Neon has to be fast-paced, take those aggressive takes, and once they do execute on a site, they actually have to push and take as much site control as possible to deny the retakes. Once they set up those crossfires on site, it will be a little harder for G2 to retake, but again, they don't have flashes, so they have to do that by pure firepower. Brute force, the whole thing.
So like back site control, B site, very important. Maybe two players in secret as well, if they can maintain those positions. Those are generally how you can really hold down onto that A site. You can't just smoke and give up. You got to play forward.
Well, G2 goes, and they're on the precipice of making history here. C9Y, Vans and Potter, they have to find a way to get back into this.
That indeed they do, Yinsu. Thank you. And by the way, big shout out to Myrna. She's doing a great job on that analyst desk.
Absolutely. Such solid points coming through. And we got to hop onto it a little bit more, right? The fact that C9 don't have any flashes in this composition. And the fact that they've been shying away from really heavily swarming into the site. So we need to see aggression coming out here for C9 on the attack.
You want aggression, you got aggression. This is quick right now from Cloud9
Oh,
White.
no!
But we're not clearing the corner, but at least a TP goes out. Mel does get the long-range kill onto Miri, though. That's the chamber diff, and now the wall comes up for the rest of C9 to push forward. Wall then to come out, it's going to be a plant for long.
Jazzican's biding her time. And this position was such a power position for G2 in their post. This time, Cloud9, a little bit of breathing room here, but Giuliano wants to have fun.
One flash available. Beautiful Han that spots two players inside this B site. Even a Prowler towards the back. And Katsumi's just trying to dance around this wall. It's broken left and right. Now the wall comes up on defense. Juliana fights towards the back halls. Mimi and Glance just go to work. Somehow this is looking for G2 for a clean defuse. At least now Bob is going to be the last player standing. A 2 versus 1. But there's that wall. Hello, barricade.
Wall, just barricading, and the timing in which Mimi came and placed that down, it created a whole nother map almost in that site, right? A lot of different new angles, and both Sages just bobbing and weaving, using that wall completely to their advantage to find those picks, and that's a beautiful retake coming out here for G2. A stark difference from the struggles of Cloud9's retakes, and now you're seeing decisive aggression coming out here for G2 to completely overtake that site.
This is such a tough round now for C9, even a tough half. I'm going to have to reiterate this once again, Christine. Through the whole series so far, C9 White have only won one pistol. So with this plant, they're going to be on a force buy, but losing this round would be detrimental to the series. G2 are looking so comfortable and good on this map of Pearl.
Definitely so tough. We've got a force buy coming through here for Cloud9 as well. They don't want to allow G2 to get to 11. G2, they're being proactive. This Astra smoke pickup is huge!
My God.
Enemy remaining. Spike down.
What can you say? G2 just looks so clean into all of these plays on this very map. Just kills after kills, working as a team, getting all of these frags, and now putting Bob in a tight situation. Another clutch that she's going to have to try to do. Spike is down. Nice flick onto the first. Mimi was looking for the timing, but on the top now puts Bob down to 24 HP. Could forfeit the spike, but Bob still needs a lot of information, and she can't do it. She's not playing any type of agent that could get that information, so instead, it's going to be a smoke to potentially and hopefully pick up the spike.
That should allow her to play around a little bit. Such
30
intelligent
seconds
plays coming out for G2, though. You can see that Mimi just went back over and met up with Mary, making sure that they're going to do a 2v1 peek, if anything, onto Bob. Oh, this is going to be tough. The timing!
Just unfortunate. Mimi also had utility in her hand for the self-heal. There's a potential there, but it's going to be the timing that comes in favor of G2, and that's a huge round to win. And now it's just going to be C9 having to fight back and claw back every single round just to try to make it at least somewhat competitive.
Yeah, exactly. And this is almost, I mean, this is G2 saying anything you can do, we can do better, right? Because we talked about the fact that Cloud9 were making those proactive moves in mid, trying to sniff out wherever that hit was going. This time G2 do it, but they make it look so much better. I mean, just the ping-ponging off of each other, it's flawless right now for G2.
Now you see the flash coming out with the decoy. Jazzican's even shot early, so they know there's presence from Cloud9 towards the top of B. Meanwhile, for the rest of C9, we're adding more pressure towards the B halls at that B link. Yes, we're able to get Petra back. But now as we fight forward towards this B main, it's Bob with a headshot from the Guardian.
Huge pickup. Mary tries to equalize things, but just takes a bunch of damage. She's going to have to reposition and wait for her teammates. 2 of her teammates are actually on the flank, so she's got to survive. She's got to buy time.
Buying that she is in the back. The wall comes up, and that's the other thing too. No breach, not only the fall line, no flashes to help clear out towards the back, but at least Alexis stops the bleeding and stops the pressure that Mary had in the back of that site.
And Glance, they got to speed up the pace, so the sound cues are there for Cloud9. They've heard everything, but Mimi, what a transfer. That's a Spectre, Vans.
Yeah, using it like a rifle, and now only 1 kill away from getting an ult, but instead it's just going to be another wall to try to cross over. But this should have a gap.
Oh my.
She's looking for the last kill. It's going to be Mel, only with the Guardian, and she gets it! The quad kill for the defuse! The Red Bull clutch! And it looked to be C9 all over that round, but it's instead map and series point for G2.
The movement, the bulldog, the fact that Mimi, LAN player, LAN approved, that 3-ping coming out, and she's just so good for it. That was a round that Cloud9, it looked like they had everything they needed, right? We talked about the fact that it was only Mary on the site. All of her other teammates were so far away. But again, maybe a little bit indecisive. Maybe Mary's pick really put a spanner in the works, but the post-plant positioning's just not paying off for Cloud9 in any way or form. multiple post plants now where G2 are just having their way with Cloud9. Whatever they want to do, whichever way they want to make this retake happen, they're good for it.
And now it's like we mentioned before, they're always playing from so far behind for C9. Another timeout to come in, but you can definitely see now from, you know, the expressions that it's not the same attitude as we had before. We're going from cracking our knuckles here from Alexis to just trying to put our hands together to try to figure out if anybody from the Valorant gods could save them on the domination from G2 so far.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy, this is quite interesting. I wish I could be a fly on the wall during this timeout for Cloud9 White and see exactly what these communications are coming through. You know, one great thing about this squad is the fact that they're all great friends, right? They've got that team camaraderie. I doubt that there's any sort of saltiness going on in this timeout. These ladies, they fully believe that this comeback can absolutely happen, even though you're down 3-12 here.
Agreed. This is not one of those moments where a timeout is to try to cheer us up or whatnot. You don't have time for that. It's to try to figure out how the hell can we open up any of these sites or at least play a good post plan for a C9 White. And it's going to be another attempt towards B. One of those moments where, okay, maybe micro adjustments can help us win this post plan. So we'll try it out. But Juliana's walking back up on the top of B at the control. A haunt, he gets shot. Actually, she misses it, but at least she has that TP all the way back towards A.
Shot just a split second too early, but look at this, bait and switch. Even though Juliana TP'd away, Mary is in prime position, off angle, misses a couple of shots, and she is forced to TP back away, and Cloud9, they're decently happy with this. This is the control that they came in for. Astral Wall will go down. And Cloud9, they're committed. They're pretty committed here. Although Bob is on the opposite side, she's just watching the flank.
Woo. Nice sorry, there's no flash going out, but it was a nice swing out towards the wall for Mary to be able to get that kill. And now she picks up the spike. They're still looking for this plant, but Giuliano's still behind here. A haunt to come out, but it's a trade-off. No spike though. It just got dropped.
And Bob, she wanted to make that flank happen, but the timing wasn't on her side. She decides to come regroup with her team. 3 versus 3.
30 seconds left.
Spike is down, and G2, they're in prime position. Mimi waiting to react and peek off her teammates' contact here. Beautiful smoke, though.
That res to allow that to come up, and Petra hears a spray, swings out from the control. There's only 10 seconds left, and the dimensional drift on top of that to get all that information. Alexis Elise gets the kill onto Glance, but the push out, there's no time. Mimi comes out to get the last 2 kills, and G2 wins the series.
And what a beautiful way to close it out in style as well. I mean, the fact that it was Bob's smoke to help Mimi get that res off as well. I mean, that's beautiful.
Oh. I mean,
And
look
painful.
at the cheers. It's definitely painful if you're a C9 fan, but that conversation of who's the best team so far as the game changers, I gotta say, it's definitely G2 after that performance on Pearl.
Hey, look, you know, we talked about the strengths of this lineup, and the ladies talked about it as well. 37 years experience on land. This is just another Tuesday for Giuliano out there. I mean, just casually destroying Cloud9 White, NA's best. It's no big deal.
Yeah, we were trying to find those answers there for C9. We're trying to see how we could fight towards that backside, but as we mentioned, if you don't have any of those flashes, they couldn't really have that Prowler moving deep on C9 on the attack to try to pick up those B sites. And the retakes just continues to be cleaner and cleaner for G2 too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of scary, I gotta say. I mean, I'm looking at these camera pictures and I'm seeing Mimi having a blast out there. I'm seeing Mary. Just nothing is phasing them, it seems. And, you know, all the pressure that I thought there might be on day one of the biggest LAN that there has been in many, many years, it's just, again, casual, effortless.
It also brings another point of conversation when looking at Game Changers Series 3 in the MEA. When we had the comeback from GuildX, when GuildX actually won that series against G2 3-2, and we're like, oh, well, ever since we had a new coach come in from Guild, maybe they're that new team coming in. But we had some time to work, and they've worked some great small changes into composition, but the gameplay was totally different from G2, and it continued to be that strong team.
Yeah, totally different. I mean, and Pearl is the exact perfect example of that, right? If we think back in that Guild series, they got destroyed, I believe, like 13-3 on Pearl. So the fact that they're able to come back in just a matter of a couple of weeks and completely rebrand, re-identify, and set Mary up for success, set Giuliano up for success with these weird picks, but make it look damn good, that's impressive.
Yeah, because he didn't have too much time to work on that, and not only that, we've seen so many changes on, what, 3 different maps that we've seen in this series from G2, if not overall in this tournament so far. So you gotta give it. I mean, look at the crowd. Look at the fans of G2 Mary winning with that victory that they had from G2 over C9, but at the same time, you gotta give it to Carcass, right? We talk about you don't have a lot of time to work with on your strategies and your comps. He's definitely got to be in the lab cooking this up here for the team.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, now we do have the in zone MVP, Mimi Petra or Giuliano. I don't know, man. This is a close one. Mimi with a nice 4 versus 1 clutch. Those last 2 kills before. Giuliano, though, just owning things up on, what, the Yoru and the Reina. What's your pick here?
I gotta go with Mimi. I mean, her showmanship, her camera presence.
That's true.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
But you know what? Maybe that's why Giuliano always has the game face on. So you're not going to do any facial expression because that's just going to be your talk in-game. And that's G2 winning that series versus Cloud9. Our first answers coming through. G9 gets knocked down to the lower brackets and G2 reigns strong. It's time to go for a break. And when we come back, the analyst desk to break that down.
This is the fall.
is the most highly anticipated Game Changers match of all time. The two teams who have always claimed that they are the best in the world. We are about to settle it here.
But laser trades are there for C9. Only one to go, and that's Mimi that you talked about before. But that's Alexis winning. That's a thrifty round that comes in for C9. And the door has to be broken. Looking for the pick. Will get it. And onto the fuse. We're sticking. The Red Bull clutch on a 2 versus 1.
Hello.
Side from the backside. Beautiful paranoia too. And C9 win the first map 13-7. Looks for the last two. As somehow the communication wasn't there. Juliano gets a 4K into the round and the Red Bull clutch. But Alexis lines up. What a few for 4 kills into the round.
Nice!
It's going to be quick, but it's still going to be Petra. First blood into the round. And Petra's not going to get out of anybody's way. Redemption comes in as G2 brings this to a third map. Clean up on aisle 4. Petra gets the last kill there into the round. Contact, spots one, goes out with the overdrive, but overheat. It's not going to happen for C9.
Smoke pickup is huge.
My God.
Oh, this is going to be tough. The timing.
A gap. As she's looking for the last kill. It's going to be Mel. Only with the Gordon, and she gets it!
And that was the Prime Gaming post-match highlights. It is a great day to be from EMEA. We're on top, baby. I don't get to say that.
Yeah, we are. Let's go.
Yeah, woo! No. No. Both of you can suck it, honestly. I wanted to do that. So we don't get to say that very often these days. You know, at Champions, it was all about Brazil, and EMEA got left behind a bit. But honestly, what a day to be alive. And we witnessed that. We finally got C9Y versus G2 Gozen.
We finally got it, and it was like, it felt so close for so long, and then Pearl dropped. Oh my God, G2 absolutely tear C9 apart. What a performance from them, because they were the ones that busted out for the first time up against Guild towards the end of EMEA Game Changers, and then to do it in C9's first time, it didn't even look close.
Yeah, I mean, G2's Pearl, like, it looked comfortable on a map. On comp, it looked comfortable. Team play looked comfortable. Aiming, Mimi looked hella comfortable. I mean, and then you just have all of those aspects coming across, and then C9, like, their first time kind of showing their Pearl. Their comp wasn't, you know, exactly it. They were missing the flash aspect. They weren't completely utilizing their neon to the best of their abilities, and I think that's kind of where they kind of dropped today. I mean, this is their worst performance, I think, ever in Game Changers.
It is indeed. I mean, today, both maps they lost against G2 was the worst ever. And what around this one?
This is the play I want to talk about. The Yoru pump fake right here, right? Ulting into sight, getting double flashes onto the two A players, while the rest of G2 is like, yeah, we're out of here. Sprinting over towards that B site, and Juliano was there before them. What is that?
That's a fake.
That's ridiculous.
That's a fake.
Yeah, and just to keep note, the entire team had rotated off of B. They were fully committed. Even the chamber that's supposed to hold and sit there and be the sentinel and do its job, like, completely left. And then that's, it was wide open.
And it's because like the two flashes Juliano sent hit both of the two A players. So they can't hear, they can't see if more players are running in with Juliano. It was like perfect utility, the spacing on all of it. And on top of that, just the overall team play from G2, dominating. Pistols, 5 out of 6. The post-plant wins, they were undefeated on Breeze in those 6 out of 6. And they only lost 1 on Pearl, and that was Bob full sticking. Right, like absolutely just sliding in there and stealing it. Really good stuff.
Yeah, I mean that was super cool. I mean, Bob definitely put on a show on all 3 maps. I think across the board, Bob managed to put up amazing numbers. I think she did really well for sure, and just sticking that kind of shows that, like, you know, she still had the confidence even though they were losing quite a bit. She still had the confidence.
Yeah, and like you said, despite what happened on map 3, this was a close series. It was back and forth. C9Y, they were dominant. They showed why they're also one of the best teams in the world. It's a double elimination bracket, so you know this is not the end or be all. We're probably gonna be able to see C9Y bounce back into this, but before we move on, I want to show you guys a tweet here from Zaz, the former G2 Gozen player. She said on Twitter, underestimating a team who has a bunch of years of experience just because they lost 1 GC is just a big question mark to me. So to the people who underestimated my dear Gozen, Where are you now?
I'm right here. My bad. My bad. That one's on me. Also, quick shout out to Mary, who stepped into her place, goes to the role swap onto the chamber today. A fantastic international LAN debut from her.
Yeah, I mean, every single one of these G2 players really showed why they're on this team. I mean, even Petra was putting up amazing numbers, really doing what she can. She even contributed to that Yoru fake that just went so well for them. So I think overall the team really came together on Pearl.
Honestly, big up Giuliano for saving Reina players and Yoru players' reputation in like one series.
And for ruining solo queue for the next 2 months. Great work.
I had an inkling that might end up happening, but also the scary thing, G2 goes and they now have 2 extremely viable, unlosable comps on Pearl. Athena, surely teams are going to be banning that against them from here on.
I mean, they should, like, period. I think that Pearl map, I just saw so much like team camaraderie. I saw so much unity. They looked so composed. They had an amazing game plan. Even when things got finicky, when things got rough, they still managed to keep together, have a really good game plan, take the sides and abuse kind of the power that they knew they had over C9.
Well, before the break, we asked you guys at home to vote for the in-zone player of the match. The votes are in, and if it's not Mimi, I'm gonna have a word with you guys. It is Mimi. She's got 2 MVPs in one day.
Look, you can't always trust Twitter analysts, but they're right today. 78.7%. Well done, team.
She deserves it. I mean, again, 2 MVPs in one day. Honestly, she's having a tournament of her life already. And again, like Zaz said, they're not here for like a fluke. They're Lanimals. They're proven Lanimals.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna crown Mimi as the first Lanimal of Game Changers here.
I mean, even her reactions tells it all. Like, she's screaming, yelling, looking at her team. Like, she's having fun with it, and she's destroying the server. Like, what else can you ask for?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. And speaking of Mimi, she is standing by right now with Vansili in the Verizon post-match interview.
Thank you so much, Yinsu. Lansili now with the Lanimal, Mimi. Congratulations on a big win here against C9. I want to get right into it. First off, we look into the first map where it's Ascent. And you guys went into a different agent composition. Actually, Juliana going into a Sage, a little bit less of a dive. Tell me about the strategy going through against C9 here.
I mean, after listen. I know we lost Ascent, but we also lost it because of ourselves. We kind of got a bit too naive and stopped checking corners, and I think we just took it a little bit too lightly. And they punished us for that. And it's clear that they're a really good team, and they will see those mistakes very quickly. So whenever we figured out that they would figure that out, we figured it out.
Hold on, I'm not too good with math. Figure it out. Anyways, if anything I figured out is that you lost the first map on Ascent, but on the second one, you're just having so much fun still. Like all the hand gestures, you're doing like sign languages. How did you maintain your cool or try to stay as confident as possible through the series?
Well, we're really good together. Everyone is really just hyping each other up. We're focusing on the small things. We know that mood is such a big thing, and getting a momentum is super important. So we made sure to get that straight away. And I think we kind of just kept it.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 players I want to talk about as well. The first one being Mary. Everybody at the desk, how we started all the storylines. It's all about, okay, Mary's first event. She thought that with her inexperience, she wasn't going to play that well, but she popped off. And that was also due to you guys adjusting and getting the best out of Mary. So how did you work that through?
We, as everyone know, made a very big change. We switched me and Mary's roles, which makes super much sense because I'm a more experienced player. I know how to, there's more team play built into me, and Mary is 16 years old, okay? She's 16. Many on this broadcast, but we don't remember being 16.
You double her age and it's still younger than me.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean, right?
That's crazy.
And
that's pretty crazy, actually.
She is so mechanically gifted and has such a crisp aim. It only made sense to put her on a fragger role.
Yeah.
So Kakas and Julia figured that out. We made sure to figure out how we should do that, because we only have 4 weeks to then, practice
Yeah.
everything that we've practiced all year long and
Yeah.
made it into 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And Julia and Carcass just did that to perfection.
Yeah. Usually I do podcasts and we could talk for like 3 hours. I have so many
Sorry.
questions to ask you on top of that with Giuliano, but you know what? I'm just gonna let you say your final words to the fans. I saw that the G2 house was super loud in there in the
Yeah.
crowd. So what do you have to say?
Thank you so much, everyone, for supporting us. We really, really appreciate it. And I love my teammates. They're the absolute best.
Thank you so much, Mimi. We'll definitely see more of you. And now it's time to pass it back to the desk here with Yinsu.
Thank you very much, Lancily and the Lanimal Mimi. That was a great interview. I also loved hearing the insight of how Giuliano and Carcass are kind of crafting all these comp changes and making sure all the players are comfortable. It's definitely paying off.
Yeah, I mean, you saw how it worked out. I think that decision was absolutely flawless for their team, and she's right. Mary was the crisp aimer, not necessarily the best at like teamwork, just because she doesn't have as much experience. And we saw Mimi can pop off in any role. So I think that she did just an amazing job adapting, and the entire team did too. So really good calls out there.
Yeah, and it's not all about G2 today. C9Y, they also had a great day as well. And I want to remind you guys what they can do with this HyperX reflex. Mel with an op here. I would have broken my wrist.
This one was crazy. I mean, look at this.
crisp.
Instant on the swing that, ooh, clean, quick, crisp.
enemy remaining.
Got it all.
Bonk.
That is the analysis we love to hear on the desk here. But again, we have a double elimination. There is a lower bracket. We're probably going to see C9Y absolutely dominate. Again, it does feel like they've met their match right now. And Athena, I'm looking forward to that narrative of them getting back into it.
Yeah, I mean, the lower bracket run is definitely a thing. It still builds character. I think it's definitely doable. We've seen them kind of lose a couple maps here and there, you know, to Shopify, for example, in Game Changers, but that did not let them kind of waver the way that they were going to play. And I think that they can keep that going throughout the lower bracket.
Can I cope for like a minute? Like
Do
60
it.
seconds
You can
of
do it.
coping, right? Okay, look. The maps, they lost. First of all, chamber maps. Give me the Cypher Mel. I love the Cypher. Bring it back. I want it. Also, these are the highest volatility maps out there, right? Breeze and Pearl, they're getting a little bit crazy. The Steelers in our backlines, like, look, we just get those out of the pool. C9, bring back the Icebox. I think they play the Icebox, just hiding it, you know? They bring that out, you know, give us everything else. Give us the Fracture. I know that's in the pool. Bring it out. Get rid of the two crazy maps, and then you're going to be fine. You're going to be totally great. I don't want to see them play Breeze and Pearl against G2 ever again.
I'm with you. Just pew pew, you know, do your thing. But we've only seen 4 teams today. There are 4 more waiting in the wings to get on that stage, and they're going to be taking that stage again. Tomorrow, it is going to be Guild, Shopify, Fennel, and Team Liquid Brazil as well. Athena, after the day we've had today, I don't even know what to expect for tomorrow.
I mean, I'm looking forward to Guild and Shopify because this is just going to cement either the EU supremacy or it's going to show that it can flip either way. Maybe C9 just had a bad map pool kind of pick in their favor, you know, and we'll really see that tomorrow. Like, hopefully the regions can balance it out. Fennel and Liquid, definitely a game that I want to watch. Seeing that Brazilian firepower is something that I am so looking forward to.
It's a team that's been like hyped up relentlessly for so long, and we're like, ooh, we finally get to see it. Fennel got the swagger. I don't know. I feel like all 8 teams just have really cool stories. I've actually gotten the chance to like talk to like some of the Japanese casters, and the stories I'm ready to weave tomorrow for those teams. Like I just love so many of the players here. They had a fantastic game 1, and it's not going to be over anytime soon.
Yeah, I think we set a bar today. What a day we have had. Thank you very much, Ender and Athena, for joining me today. We're going to be back for more Game Changers action tomorrow, starting with NA versus EMEA, Shopify versus Guild X. Make sure you come back and join us, and we'll see you then.
We've been waiting for this moment since the launch of VALORANT Game Changers. 8 teams have poured everything they have into this defining moment of their legacy, and all that's left is to seal the final chapter of their year. Let's see how it all plays out, and welcome to the stage, Cloud9 White and Crew Esports.
Dash comes in and the first swing. Stunning work from Katsumi and even once more. Nice! Let's go, Cat! Welcome to the stage, Cloud9. You're looking like you're at home. Alexis taking heads. What are you doing?
To anticipate this, but Alexis just swings out, finds all 3. 4 on the round for Alexis. C9 White close out Ascent.
There's gonna be a push off the spike, potentially can't sit that no more. 50 seconds in the clutch for Jazzy. What are you doing? Mel behind them, behind the wire. Mel closing in now. Don't do it to him. Just get the job done. It's 13-5. Cloud9 White proving exactly why they are the team to beat.
X10, they are the Titan Slayers of APAC, and they face yet another Titan, this time from EMEA. But this is G2's home turf, and do we believe in another upset?
Find a shot, but G2 just wants to fight. Petra swings forward, grabs 3, and Mary is there for the last.
Let's go.
What a start for this team here. Another day at the office.
G2, 13-4, make a statement in their opener on land.
You're good. You're great. You're great. You're great. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're good. You're insane. You're insane. In the head. True.
It's going to be Mimi for 2. Make it a 3rd. You cannot get past her.
If she gets a kill, she can just pop on out, but she'll stick around for more. Second in the dismissed. Easy hold.
Nice! Let's go. And continue the push as Mimi is there to trade everything on through. A triple for her. G2 take the series.
This is their home. Back on land. G2 goes in. Look incredible. Not allowing their opponents to break the double digits on a single map.
This is the most highly anticipated Game Changers match of all time. The two teams who have always claimed that they are the best in the world. We are about to settle it here.
At least the trades are there for C9. Only one to go, and that's Mimi that you talked about before. But that's Alexis waiting. That's a thrifty round that comes in for C9. And the door has to be broken. Looking for the pick. We'll get it. And on to the fuse. We're sticking. Oh my! The Red Bull clutch on a 2 versus 1.
Team play, hello!
Side from the backside. Beautiful paranoia too. And C9 win the first map 13-7. Looks for the last 2. As somehow the communication wasn't there. Juliano gets a 4K into the round and the Red Bull clutch. But Alexis lines up quite a few for 4 kills into the round.
Nice!
It's going to be quick, but it's still going to be Petra. First blood into the round. Woo. And Petra's not going to get out of anybody's way. Redemption comes in as G2 brings this to a 3rd map. Clean up on aisle 4. Petra gets the last kill there into the round. Contact, spots one, goes out with the overdrive, but overheat. It's not going to happen for C9.
Smoke pickup is huge.
My God.
Oh, this is going to be tough. The timing.
A gap. Ash is looking for the last kill. It's going to be Mel. Only with the guard in, and she gets it!
Let's go!
G2 wins the series.
And what a beautiful way to close it out in style as well.
That conversation of who's the best team so far at the Game Changers. I gotta say, it's definitely G2 after that performance on Pearl.
So I don't lie, awake at night, wondering why the days go by with captured thoughts upon my mind.